Hi y'all, good morning. I'm ready to catch a fish if y'all are, so we say we go ahead and get after it. I've got our baits out here, we're getting ready to cut them up, drop them down, and hopefully catch us some blues, and man, if we get lucky, maybe a flathead today too. So I'm gonna put y'all in the chest here while we cut some baits. Once we get these on, I'll show you my rigs, I'll show you where we're gonna be fishing at today, kind of explain the thought process, the rationale, all that good stuff, but we're gonna be fishing with cut bait today. I burned my live bait there yesterday. Everything was about dead when I got to the water yesterday morning, so it's gone, but we got plenty of cut bait. This is a crappie here I'm about to cut, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you. And for the people that hate it out there he is on the measuring board, 12 inches right there on the line. He's a legal sized bait in Tennessee, got to be 10 inches to use a crappie. So we're gonna cut him up, we're gonna use a head, and we're going to use a chunk of him. We're going to do 2 pieces of skipjack. Well, that dang crappie fin is tough. I'm going to have to use the shears on him. My knife's about had it. We're going to do 2 pieces skipjack, 2 pieces crappie, 2 head baits, 2 chunks. Just kind of offering a little bit of variety here. Best we can anyway. And hopefully, if some fish work through this area, we're going to be offering them something that they're willing to eat today. And my plan is I'm going to fish a few hours out here this morning. I'm going to leave the camera running the whole time, bring you with me here start to finish as we hopefully have us a successful day of catfishing. It's been a tough fishing the past few days for me anyway, since we had all this rain move through. And you can probably see here looking around, water is just super muddy. It's where I'm fishing at today, the water's up maybe a foot or 2. It's not super high or anything. The TVA is working all this water through from the floods they had there up in the mountains of Tennessee and western North Carolina, and they've been able to manage it pretty well down through here. As far as we've had a lot more flow than normal, but as far as the water levels, they've done a pretty good job as they've worked all that massive flooding water downstream. So there goes our skipjack head. I forgot to show you the rig. I'll show you here on the next one. We'll put our skipjack on the front 2 rods. We'll put our crappie on the back 2 rods. That way we'll be able to easily, well, I hope we can anyway, easily remember which rod is which in case we get bit and need to replace a bait. These front 2 rods, they're going to be Carolina rigs with a stinger fly. You've got your egg sinker there. That's 8 ounces in this case on 40-pound main line, a swivel, 80-pound monofilament leader, 10-aught size circle hook with a chunk of skipjack on this one, and then that Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly just a few inches below it. Now our back 2 rods are going to be virtually the same rig. They're just not going to have the stinger fly on there. Those 2 rods I had just a basic Carolina rig on, because the last few days I've been using live baits. And I'll tell you what I've learned the last couple years using these stinger fly rigs is that you got a live bait on and a stinger fly rig. Oftentimes what happens, I think that live bait, as it's moving around and swimming along down there, it's obviously moving that fly, right? And it makes it look like the fly is moving and swimming too. Well, oftentimes what has happened to me, here goes our crappie head. What's happened is that the catfish, whether blue or flathead, whatever, will come up and eat that daggone fly instead of the live bait. And during the fight, all the thrashing around, the live bait gets knocked off. And so I've gotten to a point I've taken the flies off when I am trying to use live baits, because my live bait, I'm always limited. I don't have the ability to carry a bunch of live baits with me in the kayak, at least not a bunch of the size of the live baits that I want to use when I'm out here catfishing. So because of that, I've just taken the fly off so we don't lose our live baits. Actually, I think that one over there, that head, might have been the other rig that didn't have the stinger fly, because this one over here's got the fly too. It don't matter. Either way, we got 2 rigs with the flies and 2 without. And the last couple trips, yesterday, I fished. For those of you regular viewers, you saw it there. I caught a fish on the fly yesterday, and the day before I'd caught some on the flies. So even in this muddy water, these catfish kind of know that there are something down there with them flies, whether they can, I don't know if they can see it, they can feel it, they can sense it. I don't know, but when you got muddy water, just a few inches of visibility, and they're eating these flies, you can't tell me they don't know that they're there. So I think these fish are a lot more in touch with their environment than what we give them credit for. And I mean, they have to be. They're predators, right? Like they have to eat to survive. That was dumb. We all have to eat to survive. You know what I mean, though. Like, they gotta go out there. They gotta catch their prey. They gotta hunt their food to survive. Ain't like us humans that just go to the damn grocery store. Humans have lost their ability to hunt and gather and fend for themselves like in the old days. If we got knocked back to the Stone Ages by a asteroid or whatever, boy, we're gonna be in bad shape as humans. And I ain't talking bad about nobody. Hell, I'd be in the same situation. So anyway, y'all, now that we got our baits down there, let's go ahead and kind of explain where I'm at, what I'm doing today. So right now, I'm in a kind of a wide open area here of the Tennessee River. This reservoir, where I'm at today, the current flow is very light. It's very minimal. They're moving water, but where I'm positioned at, yesterday I fished an area, the current was like 2 miles an hour. Today I thought I want to get somewhere where there's water movement. We can get some scent dispersion, but it's not going to be that faster flow. So I've put us here in front of this creek. Now, it looks like I'm kind of out here in the main channel, right? Like, it looks like I'm a long ways away from that creek, but in reality, before they made the reservoir here and flooded all this creek would have come out. Let me get back off this screen. You kind of see here, best you can, I know my screen's dirty and whatnot, but the contours, this creek bed comes out here, and the way it comes out, you've got a flat over here to our right, and it's probably mid-teens in depth, 20 foot in depth right now. And then it come off into this creek channel. Now, in the old days, that would have been farmland, right? That would have went right up to the edge of the river. But nowadays, it just comes off. So I've got us kind of on the edge here of this, where this creek would have come out, and we're just gonna sit here today and try to get fish working along this contour, maybe in or out of this creek. I'm gonna put it back on this screen so we can see a little bit more movement there with fish and bait and whatnot. There is some bait out here. I've seen some stuff kind of flipping out through here. I didn't run back in this creek to see if there were any more bait fish back up in there versus out here, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff out here kind of in the channel. So we'll see. I'm gonna spin this thing around, see if there's a smaller fish down there. There's one higher in the water column. So there is some activity, there's some life out here where we're at, and I'm just gonna see kind of what's going on out here. Earlier in the week, I fished a situation kind of similar to this. It's 46 feet, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. But earlier in the week, I fished a situation similar to this. And that was my best day of fishing of the week. I got several fish, got bit all morning long, got some decent quality there with some fun sizers. Since then, I've kind of just been struggling the rest of the week, hitting different areas. So we're gonna try it again today here and see what we got. We've got a cooler full of bait still, so plenty enough, both crappie and skipjack, to get us through the morning here. And this is gonna be my last day of fishing. I'm gonna put y'all on the chest here. I'm gonna kick back and relax. We can wait on these rods to go down. Me and you'll sit here and shoot the bull a little bit while we wait on fish. Not gonna see any sunrise this morning because of all the clouds. Sun should be up by now anyway, but it's too cloudy for us to have any beautiful, picturesque sunrise scenes this morning, which is a damn shame because this may possibly be my last sunrise trip of the year, at least here at home anyway. We'll see. We'll see how cold it is when I get back. But this is going to be my last trip before my Louisiana adventure. I'm taking the weekend off from fishing, kind of let my body, I won't say heal. I'm not in any pain or anything, but I know how my body is if I spend too much time sitting. And I'm going to have to be sitting a lot when I go to Louisiana, not only on the drive down there, got about a 10 hour drive, depending on traffic and whatnot. But then once I get to Louisiana, I'm certainly going to be logging more hours in the kayak just fishing than what I normally would while fishing at home. So want to just kind of take a couple days off, take the weekend off here, and let the body just not be sitting all damn day before I go off on this adventure that's hopefully going to be worthwhile, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. The weather report right now down there is looking very good. We'll see, weather reports, how they can change by the day. You never know for sure. I've never seen a meteorologist that could get a weather report right. You had to go back in time to have a weather lady around here that was just put some stickers up if it was going to be sunny, or a rain cloud if it was going to rain. She was better than these meteorologists, but so far the meteorologists are calling for good weather in Louisiana, so I'm hoping it's going to be a good trip, and I'm hoping to have some fun. Go somewhere different, Mississippi River, never been there before, so mark that off the list once I get back and fish that. I'm going to eat me a crawdad while I'm there, never done that before. Going to try to find me some old witch doctor down there and buy me a voodoo doll. I got some people I'm wanting to be putting hexes on and stuff, so I'm going to try to find me a voodoo doll down there to purchase or trade for. I don't even know, do you buy voodoo dolls? I don't know how that works, but I've heard Louisiana's got some witch doctors down there and stuff, so we'll see. Nevertheless, that's coming up next week, and so got a day here of nice weather. I mean, it's cloudy, but it's comfortable as far as temperatures goes. There's no wind today. Where we're at down here on this part of the river, we're not going to have any major flow, which I find difficult to fish in a kayak. So yeah, we're just going to enjoy the morning here and see if we can get some fish. And if we do, great. And if we don't, well, that's okay too. So I've struggled all daggone week, and that'd just be par for the course. I mentioned this in yesterday's video there toward the end when I got 3 fish yesterday. So, I mean, it wasn't like I got skunked. But I've struggled this week. I have failed to adapt to the situation, what's going on. And it ain't like I ain't tried different things. I've fished in the heavy flow. I've avoided the heavy flow. I've fished really deep. I've fished really shallow. I've fished in between. I've tried dragging baits. I've tried anchor fishing. I just ain't been where the fish are at, or ain't been offering what they want, or something. Something's been off in my game, and I haven't been able to just dial it in this week. So, don't know why that is, but that's just part of fishing, man. Every day you gotta just figure something out that's going to get you those extra bites to get those fish that may be a little finicky at that particular time. And well, I just ain't been able to do it. I think sometimes people, they see you on YouTube, and of course I've been on YouTube a long time now, and they look at you and think that, well, this guy just catches fish all the time, man. He can go out there and catch them out of a mud puddle or something. And well, the way this place looks out here today, I guess we really would be catching them out of a mud puddle, but But nevertheless, you know what I'm trying to say, like they think you can just go somewhere and just tear them up instantly. And well, for me, that just ain't the case, folks. There's times of the year I do good, and there's times I do bad, and you know, I've gotten to a point where I feel like I'm fairly competent most of the time. I mean, I can go to new bodies of water and grind and usually figure it out. Our tournament scene, I've went various places all over the southeast here for these tournaments, and I've held my own at these places. But I still, at times of the year and situations, struggle to get bites. And so I think, what I hope anyway with my YouTube channel is that it maybe gives people a little bit more hope. You know, these videos certainly, I think, are well, they're 100% realistic, because you're seeing it all from the time I'm dropping baits down till this camera battery dies a few hours from now. Like, you're seeing everything that happens in between that. And so it's very real, but I try to, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, if I'm struggling like I have this week, I'm gonna tell you I'm struggling. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm struggling and what I've tried and what ain't worked. When I was a kid growing up, of course, we didn't have YouTube back then. We didn't have all these fishing channels. You had your Saturday morning fishing shows, your Bill Dance, Hank Parker, Roland Martin, those type of shows. And those guys were all great fishermen, right? I mean, look, they're professionals. They've been fishing longer than I've been alive. Like, they know their stuff. But when you would watch Bill Dance on Saturday mornings, and every daggone episode he's holding up a 7-pound bass for whatever lure he's selling that particular week, I mean, it made it look like he was on those fish all the time. And he would catch a few of them over the course of that 30-minute episode there, right? And then you would go out, I'll say you, but I'll speak for myself here. I would go out after that, after watching Bill Dance, and I'd go buy whatever lure he's selling, whatever Strike King, crankbait, whatever. Same model, same running depth, same color, everything Bill Dance used, and I wouldn't catch nothing. And you're like, well, that Bill Dance, he's just way better at this than I am. He's professional. But in reality, now the magic of TV and stuff has wore off. We kind of know how the process works. Like, oh, well, Bill Dance put out 15 episodes per year, and it took a long time to make each one of those episodes. It wasn't like he's going out and fishing for 5 or 6 hours and pulling up 4 or 5 trophy bass. Like, that just wasn't the case, unless it was a situation where it was like a large pond, or like one of those trophy bass lakes, or there's a few of those around the country where you can go and pay $500, $1,000 or whatever and get to fish there a few hours, and they've grown those bass, like it's managed, they're bred and grown and everything to be a trophy fishery. Those situations, so maybe you could go out there and catch a few fish, trophy fish in a few hours. But what we know now was that in the days of the 80s, when you're making 13, 15 episodes a year and you got all year to make them, took a little bit more time, right? You know, I don't know that Bill Dance, as great as he was, and I'm not knocking him, got all the respect in the world for him, but I don't think he could go out there on a daily basis. Couldn't go out there and fish 5, 6 days a week and be pulling in 3, 4, 5 trophy bass on every trip out of public water, right? Like, I don't think it's gonna work out. But that was the perception we had, at least that I had anyway, as a kid growing up watching him. Like, this is the greatest fisherman ever, man. He catches trophy bass every time he goes to the water. And that's good marketing for people till that. He never said that. He never one time said that on his videos. But that was the perception, and it's what we were led to believe. And I mean, I couldn't do that on my channel anyway. There's no way. I don't catch enough big fish. I'm not a good enough fisherman to even try to get you all to believe such a thing, but I don't want to do that on my channel anyway. I want this to be real, I want it to be authentic, and I want it to be like you all are out here with me, and whatever's going on, I want you to experience it too. Maybe not like if it's pouring down rain or something, I don't necessarily want you to have to go through that with me if I'm getting drenched, but hell, I try not to get drenched. I'm a fair weather fisherman, and I admit it. If I'm getting drenched, it's because I've stuck out in a pop-up storm or something. I ain't voluntarily going out in it. But that's what I'm trying to explain anyway. Like, I want these trips to be an authentic, real representation of what you as an average fisherman can maybe expect. Because that's what I consider myself to be, kind of just an average fisherman. I'm fortunate that I get to fish a lot, which kind of skews the numbers. For me, maybe other average fishermen, if all things are equal, let's say you clone myself, right? Let's say I could clone me. Equal knowledge, equal skill level, the same equipment, everything, versus the real me versus the clone. And the real me is out here fishing, say, 150 days a year, and the clone me gets 25, 30 days a year. Well, guess what? The me that's fishing 5 times as much is probably going to catch significantly more fish and significantly more big fish over the course of the year, right? And so it's no different than me versus, say, a lot of you all watching at home right now that's comparable knowledge and comparable skill level to me. You see my videos, you think, well, man, Justin catches a lot of big fish through the year. Well, compared to me, well, maybe I do, but it's probably not because I'm any better than you. It's because I'm just fortunate enough to get to go fishing more often than you do. You got work and family and all that. Maybe you only get to go 1 or 2 times a month. And part of the time you do get to go, you got to struggle and find bait. So it's not an apples to apples comparison oftentimes, and I feel like that's something that people, and I've blamed social media for this for forever. This comparison that we do, I think it's human nature to compare ourselves to others, but it's amplified and magnified because of social media. When every time you open up your social media apps and you're scrolling through, somebody's holding a big fish they've caught today. And you've been working the last 5 days, ain't even got to go, and you almost feel like you're behind, like you're losing the game. You're not even in a game. You're not competing against these people, but you feel like you're behind, like you're losing. Why? Well, because you've been scrolling through, you ain't even been able to go, and everybody else has been on water catching this fish. They're claiming, well, I had the best day of my life out here. So anyway, I don't want this channel to be like that. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be real. Those of you that come fishing with me on these videos, I'm going to try to put us on fish. I want to catch fish. I want to catch fish every time I go out. I want us to have a good time, but I want it to be real, and I want it to be, I hope that you come fish with me on these trips because you want to go fishing. We'll sit out here and I'll tell you stories and be just like we were fishing in a boat together, with the exception that the conversation's kind of one-sided because y'all don't talk back on these videos. My neighbor come to my house yesterday, and I'd filmed yesterday morning, and so I'd talked for, I think it was 3.5 hours, 4 hours, however long I filmed. I left the water a little earlier than what I was planning on yesterday because I was frustrated with the current and the lack of fish catches. But I go home after having talked for a few hours, one-sided conversation, because heaven forbid y'all talk back. Although if I did hear you all talking through this camera or voices in my head, I'd probably be freaked out about it. So it's probably best y'all don't talk back. But anyway, I go home, and I stopped off there at the diner and got me a dinner and come on home there and I had my feet up on the couch eating me some lunch. And my security camera alarm goes off. I open it up to the live feed there. I'm like, who the hell's out there on around my stuff? I got security cameras up around my house. You got to these days. Everybody be stealing and everything. And of course, me having this YouTube following, if you will, a little bit of oh, hang on now. We got a little tap there on her head. He just nipped it. But people know me a little bit, and I've had some weirdos show up at my house, not knocking on my door, but I've had mail show up in my mailbox that was hand delivered. Like there was no stamp. It didn't go through the postal service. Like somebody physically came to my house, put stuff in my mailbox. And I've had threats, people burning down my house and stuff. So in this day and time, with the craziness in the world today and the fact it only takes one weirdo to follow through on an outlandish threat like to burn your house down or something, it's best to just be safe. So anyway, I got security cameras up, okay? Easy to do in this day and time with Wi-Fi connection the way it is. You can put security cameras up anywhere. And so I'm sitting there on my couch yesterday. I'm eating lunch, and my alarm goes off. And so I immediately pull up my phone, I hit the live thing, and see who the hell's out there. I don't see nothing. I thought, oh, maybe a bird set it off. Well, next thing I know, I'm hearing knocking on my door. What the hell's going on here? Well, it's my neighbor. This neighbor of mine, man, we live beside each other, kinda. My corner of my property here connects with his corner of the property there. And his house is kind of back over here, and my house is kind of on the edge of the property over here. So we can't, like, we're not next door. Our property's adjoined, but like, I've got 4 acres, and I don't know, he's probably got a couple acres. So like, we're not right on top of each other. And for 18 years, him and I lived beside each other and never spoke a word. We didn't, it's like we didn't even know we existed because we had a barrier between us. It was blackberries, kudzu, just brush, overgrown area, right? The only time I knew he existed was back my last dog, Roscoe, before I had the fence put up. He would run off sometimes and his puppy there, and his kid, my neighbor's kids, they were kids back then. They're grown and married now, living their adult life, but his kids would bring Roscoe home sometimes. And I always, these kids are always so polite and well-mannered. His kids were so well-behaved, they kind of stood out amongst other kids, and so I always thought, well, they've done a good job raising them. But I'd never spoken to my neighbor before. 18 years. Well, recently, he stopped by my house. And he was wanting to build a carport, and he wanted to look at mine. And I guess he could see the roof of my carport from his property there. Look right here. We got a fish. Look at him. He's come up around one of our baits there. You see how he's coming up swimming around it? That right there, he just hit it. Oh, that one just got bumped too. We got action here on the front and back rods. Some fish have come up and looking around. We had 2 of them getting nipped. That one's still hanging out right there. He's still hanging out. You see him kind of swimming around? He's in and out of the transducer. But he's around it, by gosh. He's went back down there under it. I'm gonna turn the transducer just a smidge and see if we can. We've got some activity down there. There, I got him in focus right there. That's our back baits right there. This 0 mark is where we're setting. So these marks here will be behind us. This up here will be in front of the transducer. So he's near our back bait. One of them. I don't know which, but one of them. Come on, eat that thing, fish. Don't tease me with it, eat it. That'll drive you crazy with live scope. When you sit there and watch them swim around your baits, I don't think that fish is very big, but still, here's one on our front baits coming up, just sitting right there looking at it. I mean, he is all over them front baits, man. Here's some more. Yeah, we've got some fish working through. I don't know what they are. I'm not saying they're cats, but it's down there, right there near our baits, like something, it's whatever it is, it's interested in our cut bait. So he just circled around, he come back, he just hit it right then. He gave it a little nip. He's toying with us. There's another one around the back bait now. Here comes that one up to one of the front baits. Man, I want one of them to eat the daggone thing. I don't think they're huge fish or nothing. I mean, you can see the size of the marks there. It's not like they're huge, but that right there, folks, that will drive you crazy when you sit there and you watch them on the screen and they come up, they swim around, they take a little nip, they swim around some more. It's like they're testing it, like they're unsure. It's like, what do I need to do in that situation to trigger that bite? And I've never been able to figure it out. I've tried raising the bait, tried lowering the bait, tried smacking the rod, popping the line and stuff. Nothing ever works. It always spooks them anytime I make a change. There's another one. There's like two fish right there under them baits, man. And you would think if it's not catfish, you would think another fish would be smart enough not to hang around dead meat that's oozing off blood and oil and stuff that's going to draw in predator fish to possibly eat them too along with the other bait. I mean, if I was a bait fish, I wouldn't want to be hanging around a piece of meat. It's like if you're out in the jungle, I wouldn't want to hang out near a freshly dead carcass when all the lions and tigers would be about to come in and get me. But that one might be a little better fish. That's near the back bait. This is why I don't need live scope, folks. This will just irritate the hell out of you right here. Seeing all these fish that you can't catch. And it may not even be fish that we want to catch. It may be a completely different species, but we don't know. Well, anyway, I'm going to kick back here and relax again until one of these fish wants to commit. Don't do us no good to be sitting up here just looking at them, swimming around on a screen. What was I talking about? Oh, my neighbor. So yeah, I'm sitting there on the couch. Got my feet kicked up. I'm eating lunch. Alarm goes off. I'm like, hell, ain't nobody there. And then I hear knocking on my door. It's my neighbor. And again, him and I, we had a buffer between us with the brush, kudzu, blackberries. Like, I mean, it was tall brush. TVA'd come through, spray it every few years, mow it down about once every 10 years. But like he could see the top of my carport from his property. I couldn't see him at all. And he stopped by my house a few weeks ago, asked about my carport, because he's wanting to build one. And we got to talking, and I asked him about if he knew where the corner property marker was over there, because I'd been looking for it last fall and couldn't find it in all that brush. Well, I was looking the wrong spot, because it was down on what I thought was his property. He had cleared off that area, part of the brush there, and expanded his yard, but it was partially what he had expanded was onto my property. I didn't realize. And I'm like, well, great. Now that I know where this marker's at, I'll just go ahead and clear off this other brush and expand the fence and, you know, make it yard and whatnot. And that way it won't be such a hassle to, because every year him and I both fight off that damn kudzu that's just constantly spreading and trying to take over the fence and the blackberry bushes and all that. Like it's a constant thing, because TVA, we got power lines that go over my property there and by his, but TVA just, they do a lousy job of maintaining. They're supposed to keep that stuff sprayed or cut down there under the power lines, but they only come once every few years, and you can't let kudzu grow that long. Like it grows so fast, it just takes over everything. So it's a constant battle. And so now that I knew this was my property, now that I knew for sure like where the property boundary markers were, I'm like, well, I'm gonna have somebody come in, clear all that off, just mow it down. We'll sow it with grass. That way it won't be a problem anymore for either one of us. And so anyway, you know, him and I, we had friendly conversation and whatnot. And I thought that would be it, but now he stops by all the time. And he's one of them people that just pops in. And he's a nice guy. He's a real nice guy. And him and I, like, we've got the same, the conversation always turns into political stuff, because him and I both have the same views on that. But like, you know, I don't want to be rude, but at the same time, like, nobody likes the person that just pops in. Give a call, give a text, say, hey, are you busy? Is it a good time? Can I come over? And y'all know me, like, I'm not social anyway. Like, I don't want anybody coming over. You know, if I'm not banging you, I don't want you coming over. No offense to you. Some of y'all out there are good people, but like, my girlfriend comes over to my house, my regular friends, my fishing friends and stuff, like, you know, we'll chat at a fishing tournament, or if we're fishing together. We might send a few text messages to each other throughout the week or something, but like, I'm not the type of person that's just so social, has to be around people all the time. I'm not extroverted. Like, I don't want to just be hanging out with people. And my neighbor, again, he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. But when he comes over, like, he's going to be there an hour. And, you know, yesterday I'm eating lunch when he come by. I need to get yesterday's video on my computer, get it uploaded to YouTube. I was wanting to mow yesterday. My girlfriend was coming over last night. Her and I was going to have dinner. And so I had stuff to do yesterday. And he's there an hour. And I'm like, again, I don't want to be rude, but at the same time too, it's like, I fear I'm going to have a conversation. I think I'm going to have to break up with my neighbor. I can just tell him, like, look, man, it's too much. I can't do this. I can't be the friend that you need. I'm not a good friend. He did message me one time to ask if he could come over. And my girlfriend, she had spent the night, and her and I was getting ready to go out and have breakfast. And so I told him, no, it ain't a good time. But since then, he just don't, I guess since I said no, he just don't text at all anymore. Now he just shows up knocking on the door. Look at this fish showing up right here. He's trying to swim off with that head bait. He's slowly swimming off with it. There goes my spotlight repositioning us here. Probably just spooked that fish just then. I think he let it go then. The spotlight moved and it spooked him. So, yeah, fortunately, this neighbor, though, ain't like the neighbor that's right beside me that I had to put up the privacy fence between, that's just trashy, had the RV parked there. My channel members have heard all about that guy. Fortunately, this guy don't annoy me like that neighbor. So, and him and I, me and this thing, we got some distance between us. It ain't like right up on me like the other guy. But I have to admit, I've had second thoughts about clearing off that brush and kudzu. Who knew that was the buffer I needed? Who knew? 18 years. Had never seen or spoke to this guy. Now I see him at least once a week. I'm just too old. I think what it is, folks, maybe some of y'all can relate to this. I'm too old to be making new friends. Like the friends I've got, I've had for a long time. I'm stuck with them, they're stuck with me. We just accept each other for how we are. The things that annoy me about them, the things that I'm sure that they're annoyed with me about, our pet peeves, like we've just learned to accept each other and we're friends and we've stuck with each other. I've got a small circle. At this stage in my life, unless maybe somebody dies, I don't know that I can add somebody else in. I just don't think I can do it. A man needs a girlfriend or wife. You know, a man needs a relationship. You know, a stable woman, and you need just 2 or 3 close friends, somebody that you can call up, that in times of crisis, if you need something, emergency, somebody that you can count on, somebody that you get along with, so that when you are in a social mood or they're in a social mood, you can go out and fish together, or meet up 3 or 4 times a year and have dinner and just catch up. You know, and the friends I have that are like that, like, we don't hang out all the time because, again, I'm very antisocial. But when we do, we meet up and have dinner or something, or have lunch. Like, we can pick right up, even if it's been a month or 2 since we've talked. Like, we can pick up and just have a conversation, like just picking up right where we left off. But I just can't do an all the time type friend. Or somebody that, nobody likes the person that just pops in. And I don't want to be rude, because again, this guy's nice, he's a nice guy. But I don't want to be like, don't come here anymore, or call before you just randomly show up. I don't want to do that, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to have to break up with this guy. I'm going to have to give him the George Costanza, like, look, it's not you, it's me. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. It's me. Like, if the neighborhood's burning down, call me. If you see my house on fire, please come knock on the door, let me know. But to just come over and just talk about random stuff when I'm talked out and in the middle of eating lunch. I mean, hell, my food was cold time I went back in, he's there and there. You know, my food was cold time I got to go back in the house. Which is on me, but I didn't want to be rude. He was all excited. He started him a new business or something. He ain't been able to. He had a couple job interviews, didn't work out, and he's been unemployed for a while. I guess he's been doing odds and end jobs for money, and he's decided to do it full time. He's got him business now, and he wanted to show me his business cards and whatnot, and he's all excited, and so he's trying to get some work there at our other neighbor's house. She's sold her property to one of them real estate investment group type places. They go around and buy people's houses for pennies on the dollar. If people let their properties get real run down, or they just need cash real fast, they'll make them a bad deal, but they'll get them the cash quickly and take the property. And so my neighbor girl, she was in a bad financial situation and had let the house go. Man, it's a dump. It's just trashed. I don't know how she's been living like that. But anyway, she sold to one of them groups, and I don't know if she's still there or not. I ain't seen her in a few days, and she was supposed to be leaving soon. And he was trying to find out, like, who the group, my neighbor was, trying to find out who that real estate group was that bought that house, because now that he's doing these handyman jobs, starting in business, he thought that real estate group might hire him to work on that house, get it cleaned up and stuff. And which I mean, I kind of figured a big real estate group like that, they've probably got employees, they've probably got a team of people that go in to these properties and clean them up and fix them up and all that. But he was trying everything in the world to get in touch with the neighbor girl. He couldn't get in touch with her, so he called our other neighbor who's friends with her. And that didn't work out because our neighbor that's moved out apparently don't have a working phone. Like, she has a cell phone, but it only works when she's on somebody's Wi-Fi. And I guess our other neighbor there wouldn't give him the phone number, which I don't blame her. I mean, I wouldn't give out one of my friends' phone numbers either to somebody. So then he went down to the courthouse, pulled the records to see who bought the property, the real estate group, and their phone number wasn't on there. So then he went to the damn title company and was finally able to, man, he's persistent, but he's like private eye. He needs to be, that's what he needs to do. He needs, instead of handyman stuff, he needs to be a private eye investigator or something, the way he's able to dig stuff up. But he eventually got that damn phone number and figured out who this real estate investment group's contact person was and got him a call. And he's standing out there on my porch talking to me yesterday, and that phone rings and it's them. And sure enough, they've got a team of people that clean up them houses for them and stuff. So he missed out on that opportunity. But boy, he was persistent, man. He was trying. He was hell-bent on getting him some work out of him. So y'all need any pressure washing done, your gutters cleaned, anything like that, call my neighbor. He'll come out there and quote you a fair price. It's going to be a mess. Well, I tell you, and I know these real estate groups, when they come into these places, like, I'm sure they're used to walking into a mess. Because nobody's selling their house for pennies on the dollar unless it's worth pennies on a dollar, right? I mean, it's... Well, these people over here in these mansions... Oh, hold on. We're getting our first fish here. We're getting our first fish. Oh, he's going to pull now. He's going to take some line. Look at him go. This is on the crappie head. Okay. I think this is going to be a good fish, folks. He took a little line and he feels pretty solid. He's just swimming out there to the left like I think it's a blue, though. I felt him roll. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good fish right here on the crappie head. This crappie here, I got these crappie a few days ago, but this one here was the one that I reeled up yesterday, the last live one that I used. He was barely kicking when we put him on the hook yesterday, but when I got done yesterday morning fishing, I threw him in the cooler. So he's technically, I guess, only been on ice for about 24 hours, or less than 24 hours. So he's still fresh from that aspect. This is a good fish. How long did it take here to get our first bite? Well, 49 minutes. It's been a while. We've had some fish down there at our baits, just not super active today. They're just looking around. They're hesitant today. They're finicky. I'm seeing some bubbles come up here. Oh yeah, good fish. Good fish right there. Big blue. Big blue. Definitely the biggest of the week, that's for sure. Definitely the biggest of the week. This is a nice one. Nice fish. We got another big mark right here. Look at this one while I fight him. Look at that one right there. Did you see him? He's right there under our other back bait. Get y'all back in the chest here though. This is a good fish. Man, this is a good one. I'm just gonna play him out here for a second, folks. You get a fish this big, and you're in the kayak, I was like, what can you do? You know, just play him out, tire him down a little bit. You don't want to try bringing a fish this green in your kayak because they flop around. You're gonna lose your graft, things gonna get broken. It's best to play them out. If you got a boat, you see fellas in the boats, they'll net a fish as soon as they get it up to the surface and put it in the floor of the boat, and it can flop around and work out its energy there in the floor of the boat, not cause any damage. But in a kayak, there just ain't enough space. If I bring this thing in green, he starts flopping like everything's close in here, you know. I can't stand away from the fish, the graft sitting right there. It just ain't a good situation. It's best to play them out. And I'd rather tire them out in the water too, where they can still breathe and not be as stressed. I want to try to release these fish as good a condition as possible. This is a good one though. I knew when he took off and stripping line and just was solid pulling right there, like this is a good fish. I think maybe this is the ticket, man. The best day I had this week was kind of similar situation where I was in an area that had a lighter flow, had flow, but a little bit lighter flow. The heavy flow yesterday didn't do us any good. A couple days ago, I was way on downriver in an area. I was in an area with some faster flow, but I was kind of tucked out of it behind an island where a creek had come out, and we didn't do any good there. Boy, this thing is still pulling, man. He's headed back down. Like, hell, he's down there. I see him on the screen. Look at this. He's right there, man. That's our fish right there. He's 25 feet down. He went down. He made it a long way down through there. He took off. I'll tell you right now, this was worth the wait. He just got in my front line. After all that, we fought him this long. He finally got in our front line. This has been worth the wait right here. Goodness gracious, man, he's strong. Yeah, disregard that front rod up there bouncing around. That's this fish. Now we do need to kind of land him quick now because he's got in that line. I don't want him. I've had situations where they pop that hook by getting in another line, and it just works down on that hook just right and pops it. Definitely don't want that happening here. So we're gonna try to. This is a good one, man. This is a beast. This is a golly whopper right here, buddy. This is a golly whopper. Okay. Oh, y'all, man, I'm excited about this. Here's what I want to do. I want to get y'all out of the way. Y'all sit up here in the front seat, would you? Here. Let me get y'all in the mount right here. I don't want the camera going overboard or nothing while we try to land this thing. Oh, man, this is awesome. This is awesome right here. Goodness gracious. I'm worried he's gonna get over here and get my other lines too. Boy, we've struggled all week, but it's all worthwhile right here. Oh, it's a good one. He's bigger than what I initially thought when I saw him. He's definitely bigger. Oh man, he's taking back off again. This fish won't quit. He just will not give up. I see my other line up here. I can't tell if he's swam around it once or twice. I don't want to try to fool with it. We'll get the tangle undone when I get this fish. Goodness gracious, man. So far, so good. He ain't got these other lines yet, though. He keeps going out this way, thankfully. Man, the tail on this thing, y'all. I still ain't really got the full look at him because the water's so muddy. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see the whole body at any given time, but like, this is a beast, man. All the struggles we've had this week, it's all worthwhile. This thing just is not going to quit. Okay, there he is. All right, buddy. I'm gonna give him a little slack here. I'm gonna try to work this thing up here and grab him, folks. I don't know that he's ready to be grabbed, but we're gonna try. I'm just afraid he's gonna thrash, and I'm gonna pop my line or something here. Oh man, this is a beast. Oh, don't do it, don't do it. Don't do it, y'all. He's, oh shoot, 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 shoot. Oh, buddy. Okay. That's a beast. That's a beast, buddy. He's way bigger than I thought. This is my biggest of the year. This is my biggest of the year, folks. Whew. Biggest of the year. Ate the crappie head. Holy cow. He's peeing right now. We're gonna give him a minute. You just go ahead and pee in the kayak fish. We ain't doing that as I hold you up. Let me take this camera though, folks. Look at this. Look how big this thing is. That is an absolute beast of a fish, buddy. Beast mode. We've got more down there, man. We've got more right there. There's another nice mark at one of our front baits. Oh man, y'all. I'm gonna try to hold this thing up. I want y'all to take a picture of this thing with me, would you? Do me a solid and get me a picture of this fish. Let me get this camera mount set right. I've been wanting this fish for a while, man. We've been out struggling all daggone week in these conditions. I just ain't been able to get it going. Right place, right time today though, man. Oh my gosh. This is my biggest one of the year so far. Oh man. Oh man. I can't hardly hold him up here. He's slick. There we go. Oh man. Oh man, y'all, that's awesome. Oh. Oh, it makes me so happy. It don't get better than this, man. Pull your tail around. There you go, fish. Trying to get him in frame there. Oh, man. That's a trophy fish, y'all. That is a trophy right there. Oh, this makes my day. I don't care if we catch another fish. This makes my day. I want to catch another fish. I want to catch several more, but oh man. All right. Try to get him to flash his tail out there one more time, see the length of him. This is a beast, man. All right, I'm gonna let you go, fish. I'm gonna kind of lean and let him slide off into the water here because he's too big to be gently putting down. Okay. There he goes. Yes, buddy. I've been wanting that fish. It all come together today. It all come together. I mean, yesterday, caught 3 fish, man. The day before, we got like 5. And I've had a failure to adapt to these situations. I do what I do. And I try to always put my baits in these situations where fish that working in and out of creeks or up and down along the ledge or up on points or around humps and stuff, like they're gonna have to swim through my baits. And I've said it so many times, like if you do that long enough, it'll happen. You'll be in the right place at the right time, and you'll be there when those big fish come through. And it came together today, man. It happened today. Oh man, let's get these 2 lines entangled here. We're gonna drop another crappie head down. I don't care if we catch another fish, man. My day is made. I want to catch more. I certainly do. But my day is made. Let's send that head back down. Actually, let's look at that thing, because it did get tapped a couple times, didn't it? No, let's switch it out. Let's go ahead and, we've been on the water now about an hour, so let's just go ahead and spruce everything up. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm covered in slime, y'all. It's great. Oh man. I think that crappie head there is the one yesterday I'd cut one of them crappie, and you would use the chunk, and that's the head from it there. So we'll just go ahead and put it on. Crappie, legal bait here in Tennessee. I went on a big long rant, not yesterday, but the day before. So go back in time, 2 videos if you want to hear my thoughts on using crappie as bait. The laws, the legalities, all that. I explained all of that in that video. I'm not going to rehash it again here for my regular viewers. You done heard it. For the people that want to complain in the comment box and gripe at me and stuff, listen, I explained it 2 videos ago. If it ain't worth your time to go back and watch that, it for damn sure ain't worth my time to argue with you in the comment box. But let me pull out this whole bag here. Find us another skipjack. There we go. All right, man. Let's put this skipjack head on right here. Hell, I got half of mine to put that other crappie head on up there. We need to switch out that piece of crappie on the other rod. I may put on it. We could just swing for the fences out here. If we got fish that big, we could just put on, I hate to put on all head baits, because I have caught some fish on chunks on days where they're just, seems like they want just the chunk. I got a ton of confidence in head baits. I'm shaking, y'all. Like, I'm still pumped up over that. I'm trying to contain it a little bit here for the camera and whatnot, but man, I'm pumped. You can't catch a fish like that and not get pumped up. If you ain't excited about a fish like that, man, you ain't gonna have much fun fishing. I don't get them like that often. I'm pretty sure that's my biggest of the year. I caught one pretty comparable size, I guess, back in February or March. I'd caught my biggest fish of the year prior to that one was on a fly, actually, one of these Catfish Sumo flies. But it was back in February or March. chunk up here. Yeah, we'll go ahead. Here's what we're gonna do. We'll have our chunk on up here. I'm gonna reel in this piece of crappie on our back right rod, because it needs to be, we need to change it out anyway. It's been down there about an hour. I got another crappie here in this bag. We'll just put the head on it. And of course, this other crappie in this bag is gonna be a little bit older, because it's been in that bag since I got them there. When did I get them? Tuesday, today's Friday, so 3 days. The bait there still looks pretty good. It's still got some of the innards. We'll throw this down there. I may end up needing it. Dadgummit. There we go. Let me find my board here. Get rid of that. See, I got a variety of skipjack, man. Smalls, mediums. Let me just make sure we need to. I don't like having, again, there's a gray area with our laws. We can use crappie as bait. There's nothing in our laws that says we can't cut them. Game wardens just have to be able to prove the size, and I've obviously got video proof, date, time, and GPS stamp here of this crappie being 12.5 inches here before I cut him. But if I don't have all the pieces to him, when the game warden shows up, I can't prove the length on their measuring board, and if they don't want to use my video footage as proof, then they could, in fact, write me a ticket. And if that happens, I'd like for them to write me a ticket for one fish, not multiple fish. So, I don't like having more than one cut at any given time, but I think with that other chunk there and that tail from the other one, we'll have 2 cut this time. Some of y'all may get your dreams come true to see me get a ticket for 2 fish instead of 1, if it happens. But you know what? That fish that we got today, that trophy fish, that trophy blue, worth every penny, man. Worth every penny. Yeah, that was part of what I discussed on that video there 2 videos ago. The gray area in our laws, we can use game fish for bait. Nothing says we can't use them as cut bait. Just says that a game warden has to identify the species and the length. Doesn't say how they have to identify the length, whether it has to be on their board or if I can have video, date, time, GPS stamp handed over to them. My thought has always been, well, if they write me a ticket, I'll go to court with my date, time, and GPS stamp and dispute it there. And if that don't work out, if I lose there, then I pay the ticket, which is, I think, $130 per fish, and I pay the court cost, which is who knows how much, $200, $300, $500. It's just it's a gamble, it's a risk. It's all going to come down to if you get a game warden that just wants to make an example out of you or is having a bad day or something. But I'm willing to take that risk because I like using, I don't get crappie very often, but when I do, they make a good bait, both live and cut, and it's worth the risk to me. That crappie that I caught there, but all them crappie I caught, if they were caught by a crappie fisherman, they would all be taken home to the dinner pan. They would be killed anyway. So whether they're killed to be stuck in a freezer or used as dinner tonight, or if they are used as bait, either way, that fish is dead, man. So that's my thoughts on it. But if you want the full-on, that's the Cliff's Notes. If you want the full-on 30-minute spiel, may have been longer than 30 minutes, hell if I know. It was a long time I went on about it. But that's on video 2 videos ago. All these videos go kind of in sequential order, so. Those of you that like to kind of follow along as the year goes on, you can see it all. Those of you that like to follow along in the life and times of me, you get to kind of hear the stories as they happen. I'm honestly about out of stuff to talk about this week because I've filmed. I normally don't like doing back-to-back days because I'm kind of a boring person. I'm not out on the town living it up. So aside from my neighbor coming over and interrupting my lunch yesterday, ain't much happened since we last spoke. Look right here though, something's happening right here. Near our front baits down there. We got 3 fish down there near the front baits. And one of them 3 fish has got that one right there, I think. No, he just dropped it. It's on the chunk. They are finicky today, man. We have seen a lot of fish come through, but they are just finicky. I don't know what it is that got them so hesitant, but they're not wanting to commit to a bait today. Maybe it's our bait. Maybe we're using, that other fish was certainly willing to eat the crappie head, but maybe it's a situation where they're just kind of locked in on another type of food right now. Maybe they're wanting shad or white bass or yellow bass, or hell, could be largemouth, who knows? There could be just something else that they're kind of trying to eat right now, and we don't have it. So maybe they come up to our baits because they're there and we're in the path, but it's not exactly what they want, so maybe that's it. I'm just talking out my butt here as this rod. You see, okay, all right, we got another one here. Got another one. This is on the skipjack head. That head we just put down. All right, folks, business picked up. As old Jim Ross would say, good old JR. That's something we can talk about. I did finish watching the Vince McMahon documentary series on Netflix last night. Girlfriend come over, and after dinner there, we knocked out the final 2 episodes. She's been into it too. Fellas, if your wife or girlfriend ain't into wrestling, go ahead and watch that Vince McMahon documentary, because my girlfriend ain't into wrestling either, but she was into this documentary. It was a good show. Very one-sided against Vince McMahon, but still, very, very good show. Another blue. This one here's a few pounds light of the last one. Definitely a few pounds light. I'm happy to get him nonetheless. It's another fish. Looks like he's going to give us our head bait back too. That's kind of him. Since we just dropped it down there, it ought to be in good shape. All right. Come here, blue kitty. Business picking up, man. I'm telling you, we waited a while. And here's the thing. Lately, when I have been getting fish, it's not been at sunrise. It's been later in the morning, it seems like. Now, I like fishing sunrise. I like getting on the water at dawn. But sometimes the fish their schedule's a little different than mine. Now, maybe that's been the problem lately, is I just been fishing mornings. Maybe I should have been fishing afternoons, or starting my trips later in the mornings. I don't know. There we go. Oh, Lord, fish. Well, he's gone. That's all we got of him. That's all we got of him. I got a face full of water. Did he get y'all? Let me clean my face off here, folks. He splat, well, he got chins too. Usually they somehow miss you all and get me in the face. This time Matt got you too. Dang old fish, he wasn't having it, buddy. He said, he didn't sign up for this. He said, that ain't like a Vince McMahon documentary. This is an unauthorized documentary of his story. He wasn't having it. That fish got stuff to do today. Okay. All right, I've got that bait back down. Got my face cleaned off here. We're good to go again. Yeah, Vince McMahon documentary. Here comes the sun. It's finally going to peek out from the clouds here. That Vince McMahon documentary, man, it's you've heard the story. Well, you may not have. Me as a wrestling fan, especially back in when WWE was hot there in the late 90s with the Attitude Era, they called it, Stone Cold and The Rock, D-Generation X, Mr. McMahon. Like I had been into wrestling from a kid on up to that point, but I was really into it then. And Vince McMahon, you hear the stories back then of some of the stuff, and of course the show was wild during that time. And me being a Jim Cornette fan, I've listened to a lot of his stories about Vince McMahon. So it's not too crazy when you watch this documentary and you kind of hear Vince talk in his own words about a lot of stuff. I mean, again, the documentary was definitely skewed. Like it was definitely a hit piece, as they would call it, on Vince McMahon. But some of the stuff, I mean, aside from the hit piece part of it, like, was his own words. Like, I mean, just his own stories and stuff from where they had interviewed him years ago before all the scandals and everything come out of him paying off the secretary, or I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly what job the woman. I think there was a few women that he had affairs with and paid off, but the one that he apparently stopped paying that caused him to get sued by her, and all of the text messages between him and her got released and all that stuff. Like, that was, I don't know what she was. I was like secretary or had some other job there, but like, they had started filming that documentary about him before all that stuff come out. So they had gotten like his interviews and stories and whatnot. And then the scandal broke and he had to resign and from WWE, and then he forced his way back in. And then he sold the company to the company that owns UFC. They kind of merged them, and then more scandals come out, and then he gets canned. And so now he's still got that lawsuit going on between that woman that he apparently doo-dooed on during adult time. Like, I mean, the stories are wild, folks. You got to go. They didn't touch on the details too much of the lawsuit. They talked about the lawsuit. They covered all the lawsuits, like the steroids, scandal and all that. Like they hit all that throughout the 6 episodes of this series. But the current lawsuit that's going on, they really didn't dive too deep into the details of it. And when all this stuff hit the fan a few months ago with the lawsuit and the text messages got released between Vince and this woman, and you read the stories of like, I mean, it's wild, man. It's wild. Because I think he had paid her a few $1 million in hush money. So, as another WWE wrestler used to say, that the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price. And so, I don't know what my price would be to let somebody doo-doo on me. I mean, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be no $100. That's for damn sure. Like it would be, I mean, but I mean, if somebody offered you $1 million, would you let them take a crap on you? I mean, if they got $1 million cash sitting there, I think you at least got to consider it, right? I mean, I don't know your financial situation. I don't know what kind of person you are. But again, everybody's got a price, and boy, Vince, man, he was wild. Some of this stuff, man. But yeah, fascinating documentary series. 6 episodes on Netflix. They're an hour long each. Every one of them was like, just couldn't wait for the next one. And I mean, just some of the stuff I'd heard before, and I won't give away all the details, but like, I mean, some of the stuff like Owen Hart dying when he fell from the rafters there. I was watching that pay-per-view when that happened. And then Vince McMahon deciding to continue on with the show after Owen had just fallen from the rafters and died in the ring. Like, you had heard some stories about that, and you kind of think, man, Vince, he's got to be just a heartless guy to not even stop the show. Like one of your wrestlers, I mean, this was a small company. WWE, I mean, as far as the wrestlers go, I mean, there's a lot of employees, production people, office people, that kind of thing. But I mean, as far as the actual wrestlers, like how many wrestlers do they have on the roster at any given time? It's 50, 75. There's another rod up there, gets hit on that chunk. Something's still messing with it. They just let it go then. But I mean, it's a small family, a small cluster group of people there that are actually wrestlers in the company at any given time. And so I remember when that happened, the show continued, and watching it back then, I was a teenager. You're like in shock, like, my God. When Jim Ross come on there, at first you thought maybe it was a work, like it was part of the show. And then Jim Ross and Jerry the King sitting there, and they're both distraught, and Jim Ross delivers the news that Owen Hart has died. And then the show goes on, and you see the other wrestlers cutting a promo, and they're crying, and they're, I remember Jeff Jarrett had what the hell's her name? His woman that was managing him at the time, it was Stone Cold's wife in real life there, Deborah. She's standing behind Jeff Jarrett. He's trying to cut that promo. She's crying her eyes out. And you're like, this is real. Like, this is real. And they're continuing on with the show. And you're like, what kind of asshole is going to keep going on the show when Owen Hart just died in the ring? And then you hear Vince McMahon's side of that in this documentary, and you're like, man, this is like it just, like, there's no, as a human being, there's no redeeming qualities about him at all. As a marketer, as somebody who's putting on a wrestling show, a show that I enjoyed for most of my life, up until, well, half of my life, I guess. The last 20 years of the show ain't been no good. But for half of my life, I mean, I loved wrestling. And Vince McMahon was a reason why I loved it. I mean, he ran the show, and the show was great. But as a person, as a human being, I mean, and again, this is a hit piece on this Netflix documentary. Like, they are clearly trying to portray him in a negative light. The positive stuff that Vince McMahon has undoubtedly done in his life, the charity work and all that stuff, like, brushed to the side. Like, they were all in on what kind of human being, the nasty side of him. And if you pick and choose, you take any person on the face of the planet, nobody's perfect. And if you just kind of pick and choose sound bites and certain time periods in people's lives and stuff, like you can make anybody out to look like a monster. But there are certain situations where the situation is just so different and so unique that you really get a glimpse into who in times of crisis, that's when you learn what the real true colors of a person, right? Like that's when you're going to see who that person is. And the Owen Hart situation was one of those times where when Vince McMahon says, well, you know, if I died, I'd want the show to go on. So the people in the audience didn't know he was dead, so we're going to continue on. Like that's one of those situations where it's like, okay, you kind of get a glimpse into who the real person is here. And so it's another one of those situations. Like yesterday, we were fishing together. I talked about Pete Rose because Pete Rose had died recently. And me, I'm a fan of Pete Rose, the baseball player. Like I told that story there yesterday. I won't rehash that. But Pete Rose was another one of those complicated people in life, right? Like he done something amazing on the baseball field, but off the field, is that rod up there got bumped? Off the field, Pete Rose certainly had his issues with the gambling, which has been well documented. There was the underage girl situation that come out that got him fired off his last TV job, because now this rod gets bumped. So I mean, there's situations with him that's you know, like, well, Pete maybe wasn't the best human being person for a variety of reasons. But on the ball field, you couldn't deny, like, man, this guy's special. Like what Pete Rose did playing baseball, as long as he did, the achievements he did, the number of positions he played at a major league level for as long as he did, like you can't deny he was special on the field. But when you take the whole person, the whole story into play, you're like, okay, well, there's more to it here. And same thing with Vince McMahon. Like you watch the TV production, like this show's great. At least it was back in the day, now, but back in the day it was. And like, this is awesome. But then, you know, the other stuff, you kind of get a glimpse into it and you're like, oh, Vince McMahon, the person's kind of just a little bit ruthless, you know, which, I mean, show me the billionaire that ain't had to step on a few people to get where they're at. There's a reason why they've become the top of the food chain in their particular industry. Like you don't get to the top without walking over a few people, right? In those situations, I mean, the billionaire status, unless you just inherit it, or like the Tony Khan, Shad Khan or whatever I think's his name, that they own the Jacksonville Jaguars and the AEW wrestling show. I think he got his money because he invented something and he gets a royalty or something like that. It's some product that I don't know. I can't remember what the product is. It seems like I'd heard about it, but it's just something commonly used and he gets some royalty off of it. So, I mean, you know, he invented something and it just keeps paying him every day, just keeps making money off of it. But these people like a Vince McMahon type that started out in the wrestling business when there was a bunch of other wrestling businesses back in the territory days, and to get where he got, he had to put all of those other companies out of business to become number one and at the top. And he did, and he outsmarted them and was better at the business than they were and put them out. And I can respect that. But at the same time, while I respect his ability to do that, you can also look at him as the person who is doing that and be like, this guy really ain't my cup of tea, you know? Like, this is not somebody that I would want to emulate. I'd like to emulate his money, obviously, but I wouldn't want to emulate him. I wouldn't want to be him. Not somebody that I would want to be friends with if I was the type of person who wanted to have friends, which I clearly don't, as evidenced by my neighbor story earlier. I don't mean to paint my neighbor in a bad light. He's a good guy. Like, I can tell by talking to him, like, he's a good guy. He needs a friend, and I can't be that, I don't think. Not the type of friend. I mean, if it was us talking once or twice a year, if we're out mowing the yard at the same time or something and we talk, that's fine. But I can't do an hour conversation once a week at just a random pop-in. Like, I can't do that. Fish. Oh, and he just let it go. Well, folks, getting some action here. That one didn't stay hooked up, but we're getting some action. I will take it. I'm all about getting some action. My day's made. If we don't get another fish, my day's made. This video will be, I mean, of course, sometimes if I don't catch but like a small number of fish, I'm like, should I post the video? Today's video is getting posted. When I catch a monster like that, it's getting posted, whether we get any more or not. Like, this video is going up, man. Yeah. Old Vince McMahon, I highly recommend it. If you got a girlfriend or wife that ain't into wrestling and you're like, well, I can't watch that with her, I'll just have to watch it another time. Like, go ahead and watch it with her. She'll get into it. My girlfriend was super into it. We watched that. We'd had dinner and we come back and watched we had 2 episodes left. We watched one. And I was tired yesterday because I had got up early, to go fish, and then I'd mowed the yard and everything. And so by the time we got settled in last night and eat dinner and all, like, I was pretty tired. And usually what we'll do if we watch a show or something, we'll maybe flip over. I'll watch something on YouTube, and the girlfriend there, how we kind of wind down, I might watch something on YouTube or some sports highlights or Jim Cornette clip or something, and she'll read. My girlfriend, she likes reading, so she might read a book for a little while before we kind of wind down and go to bed. And she was like, oh, I want to finish up. I want to watch the final episode here. Like, she was into it. So you fellas out there that's got a girlfriend or wife that ain't into wrestling, don't worry. They will get into the Vince McMahon, because it's more of just it's not, I mean, it's about wrestling, but it's interesting, just him. There we go. There we go. There we go. That one's pulling on the chunk. That was a nice takedown, but I don't think it's going to end up being a very good fish. He's come right up too. 45 feet here. I don't want to bring him up too fast, but that one right there, he just come on up. He wasn't. Okay, now he's going to fight. He's going to act like something now. We'll thrash around some more fish. I know you ain't done. I don't want to get soaking wet over here. There you go. Oh, good. He come off. Well, that was perfect. That was perfect. He come off. We had our fun. We got to see him, got to fight, and we didn't have to handle the small fish. Like, boy, if it could all go like that. If all the small fish could just remove themselves, boy, it would save us a lot of time, wouldn't it? We've been lucky today, man. Lucky with the big fish. Lucky with the small fish right there, de-hooking himself. Today's our day, folks. Today is our day. Another chunk here. Throw that tail there. I ain't gonna feed these fish right now. I'm gonna oftentimes I'll throw them scraps overboard, but with us having fish down there and they're all kind of finicky and whatnot, I don't want to give them a bait without a hook in it at the present time. I want them to, if they want to eat from me today, they're gonna have to eat a bait with a hook in it. All right, man. Another. Well, I'm counting that fish. He unhooked himself. We had him up here. I'm counting that. We counting that as a catch. I gotta send that fish a check in the mail for unhooking himself. All right. Yeah, man, it's, when I do these videos that are, you know, I was trying to, what I wanted to do this week, I got knocked out last week because of all the rain, and, uh-oh, something's after our head bait here. Something hit it. The crappie head gets bumped the rest of the day, I'm going to be extra excited. Just tapped it. But I try to keep my videos ahead for reasons I've explained before, both the YouTube algorithm and just because if like today, you know, we catch this huge fish. I got other YouTuber around here that sees where I catch that. Like, I won't be able to post that fish on social media until this video comes out, because if he can see anywhere in the background, he'll be sitting out here filming a video, and then would post that video before my video comes out and try to make it look like I follow it. Like, it's so stupid and petty. So I've learned to just not post pictures on social media until the video is going to come out, and just by the time a video comes out on a spot, I'm done fishing it. Like, it's just, you know, whatever. But anyway, I was trying to get myself ahead again on videos after losing last week because of the rain, and also too I needed to have some stuff scheduled for when I'm gone. Of course, by the time you're seeing this video, hell, I'm probably already home from Louisiana. But with me going to Louisiana for probably going to be down there 7 to 10 days, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any disruption to the video schedule, right? And so kind of been trying to get something every day this week, and by the time we get to this point in the week, well, I'm just out of stuff to talk about, man. Like, it would help if y'all would bring something to the conversation here, because other than me talking to my neighbor yesterday and watching Vince McMahon documentary last night, like, I'm kind of a boring person. Like, I keep to myself. I'm a homebody. So unless my other neighbor on the other side of my property, unless he's doing something to piss me off, which he does sometimes, then there really ain't much to talk about. If I've just been at home, I ain't done nothing. Thank God, my neighbor that's been coming over to my house all the time, thank God he ain't like the people that live like right up on me. At least this guy, I mean, other than just popping in unannounced, at least he's tolerable. At least he's a nice guy. The other people, though, Lord. My neighbor girl that's moving, I think I was going to touch on that, and then maybe that's when that fish hit or something. My neighbor girl that's moving, she sold her house to that equity group or whatever. When I say her house is trashed, like, I mean it is trashed, literally. Folks, I talked about this. I did a video for my channel members. Like, I do some videos around the house and whatnot for them. And I'd kind of showed, like, what her property looks like down there. And I went in and looked at her house. It's been 2 or 3 weeks ago now, maybe a month ago, when I'd heard she was going to sell the place and going to sell it to one of them private equity groups, I'm like, well, hold on. Before you give it away to them, let me take a look, because I might be interested in it and, you know, fix it up and either sell it and turn a profit or keep it like a rental property or something. Like I know what the hell I would be doing. I'm not no real estate person, you know. I had no business even thinking that. I don't know a damn thing about it, but here I go. I'm going down there to her house and taking a look, and I walk in, and first off, the outside, she has one of those metal carports, like a 2-car metal carport that you all have seen them. It is, something keeps hitting that front rod over there. Folks, her carport is nothing but trash. And when I say trash, like, I don't mean like there's trash on the ground. I mean, there's trash on the ground, and it's stacked up to the roof. It's like she filled up the back of that carport and just kept throwing trash bags on there. And it's been like that for a couple years. Like, this girl ain't been to the dump. And we don't have trash service where I'm at, but like, she ain't been to the dump in a couple years. Like, all the trash that she has had, just normal garbage from her life and living, has went under this carport. It's disgusting. When this real estate group comes in, I'm sure they've had some nasty places before. Anybody's selling their house for pennies on the dollar, it ain't these people over here along the riverbank, these $1 million houses, right? Like, they're not calling those type of places. It's places that are a dump that nobody else is going to buy, where basically the perceived value of the house and land is worth more than what the actual value of the house and land is, right? So I'm sure they're used to walking into some nasty situations, but when they show up to clean up this girl's house, they better have a damn hazmat suit, because that's what it's going to take. Like, I wouldn't, the $1 million man thing, everybody's got a price. I don't know how much the price is for a normal trash cleanup job, but boy, if I was doing that kind of work, it would be quadruple whatever they'd be paying before I'd even consider touching this girl's place. I mean, it is a mess. But I went in that house because when I talked to her outside, she was like, oh, the air conditioner unit's out, the heat and air unit. And she's like, I've got new floors, but I've got the old floors ripped up. I've got the materials for the new floors, but they're not put down. She didn't know how to do it, whatever. Of course, I don't either, but the way she made it sound when I talked to her outside that day, it was like, okay, if all it needs is a new heat and air unit and floors put down, and she's practically giving away the house. I mean, houses in my area right now, the girl on the other side of me bought a house last year, or that property was up for sale. The house was built in the 60s. It's not much bigger than mine. I think it's like 1,500 square feet or something. 2 acres, 2.5 acres, whatever, $400,000. Another house down the road from me, comparable size on like 0.3 acres, $330,000. Like, all these people have moved to my area, prices have went up. So you don't find even a small house in my area for under $300,000 anymore. It's ridiculous. So when my neighbor girl, she's like, yeah, they offered me $150,000. I'm like, $150,000 on a house that's, damn good and well, if it's functional, is going to be worth $300,000. I've got dollar signs in my eyes. Of course, again, I know nothing about, I can't fix anything. Like, I can't do any of the work myself. Everything would have to be hired out. You can't find anybody worth a damn that can do good work. And if you do find somebody this day and time that can do good work, you're going to pay full retail price. So like, I had no business even considering this project. But me, dollar signs in my eyes, seeing an opportunity here, I go down there and take a look at this house. And so I already knew the outside was trashed. But I'm thinking, well, new heat and air unit, maybe some new duct work, hire somebody, put the floors down, repaint the inside, and just make a few bucks, right? Folks, I walk in. First off, you walk into a sunroom, and it's dirty, of course. Like I mean, this place is filth. I mean, it is the filthiest house I've ever been in my life. It looks like something off one of those shows on TV. I mean, it's just nasty. It looks like a homeless camp, honestly. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, I walk in first to the sunroom, and she points over to the wall and says, that outlet down there doesn't work. I don't know what's up with it. And now I'm thinking, well, great, here we go. Now let's add electrical problems to the list of stuff I got to fix. But I'm looking down there at that outlet, and I'm looking at the wall and the floor there, and I'm like, hold up, that's water damage. Like, that looks like water's been coming in on that sunroom behind the wall there. I'm like, oh, great, now we got electrical problems and a leak. And I'm like, great. So I'm just, in my mind, I'm just running a tab here, counting the costs. We go into the house, and I'm like, I wish somebody had been there to film me, like the look on my face, because I'm sure my jaw was as wide open as it could possibly get. Like, it was so, because this girl that I live beside, I've talked to her numerous times through the years. I mean, she's been there a long time. Apparently her house got trashed because she had rented it out. Those people were the ones that trashed it, but she's been living there herself again for the last year. And you see her out, and she's a nice girl. She's well-dressed. She's always clean. She's polite. You think, like, this is just a normal situation. And you walk into this house, and you're like, oh my God, there is trash everywhere. It's nasty. Like, I start walking around, man. There's holes in the walls. There's dog hair, trash all over the floors of the entire house. Like, she's got a dog and multiple cats in there. Like, it's nasty. It stinks. Again, there's holes in the walls. All the floors are ripped up. The appliances, like the stove, is just covered in God knows what. Like, it's nasty. The window, there's windows in the house that are just busted out. Like, she's living in this house, no air conditioning. And it gets hot, man. It's been hot all summer. All summer long, it was like 90+ degrees. We had a long stretch of 90+ degrees, high humidity. No air conditioning in this place. How the hell she's living in there, I don't know. No air conditioning, windows busted out. And I'm walking around looking at this place, and I'm like, this whole place has got to be gutted. Like, you just got to start over. Like, you've just got to rip everything out and start completely over. And of course, it was way too big a project for somebody like me with absolutely zero skills to be taking on. I shouldn't have even considered it to begin with. But I'm like, again, you see this girl, and you talk with her, and you think, well, she's just like me or you or anybody else. And you see what she's living in. And it's like, why are you living like this for so long? It's not like she's can't work, but she's just, I mean, I'm still at a loss about it. Like, I can't figure it out. Just the nastiness. Like, how could anybody live? It honestly looked like something of a homeless camp. Like, when you see these homeless people that go into these abandoned houses or whatever, drug houses, and she's not on drugs. I don't think she's on drugs. She don't look like the type that's on drugs. But you know what I'm trying to say, though? Like, you've seen those type of shows and documentaries and news stories where they'll go in some old abandoned house and there'll be homeless people living in there, and it'll just be completely trashed. And that's what this place looked like. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. And she's a nice, I mean, I wish her the best. She's a nice girl. I've never had a problem with her. I've lived next to her probably 10 years or so. But the property, man, the kudzu, you know, that corner down there, I talked about me and the neighbor that keeps showing up at my house. Me and him and her all share that corner, right? And so you had all that brush and the kudzu. And it's a fight every year. Me and that other neighbor, like, we're having to spray and do everything we can to keep the kudzu off of us. And this girl, she let it go, man. She let the whole side of her house is nothing but kudzu. There's trees growing out of her gutters. The kudzu has spread from that area there under the power lines up the side of her house, all over what would be the backyard, all the way to the driveway, essentially. Like, it's all, I mean, it is just, it's unlike anything I would ever see. And it's crazy that she let it get like this, because she bought that house. She paid $130,000 for that house. And if it was livable condition, she would get $300,000 in the blink of an eye. Man, it would be, if it was listed on the market livable right now, there would be a bidding war for it, because that's just how it is right now in my area. There's so many people trying to move here that as soon as a house gets listed, like, it's gone, especially if it's under $500,000. The only house, if you look in my area right now for houses for sale, the few of them that's available, they're these $1 million mansions on the lake and stuff. It's a select buyer for them. But if you get a small house under $500,000, it's gone in days, it's gone. The house up the road from me, man, as soon as the sign, I didn't even know it was for sale. But as soon as the sign went in the ground, I drove by and I'm like, oh, that place is for sale. Oh, it's pending already. Like, they just put the sign up, but it was already pending. And that's just how it is this day and time. Oh, got hit over here. Well, something rocked the kayak, but let it go. So, I mean, this girl letting the house get like it was. Even the last year she's been living there. I know the people that was there before she rented to trashed the place. Okay, I get it. And maybe she ain't got money to fix the air conditioning unit and whatnot. But she's just been living there for the last year. Clean the damn place up. Like, get a mop, get a broom. Those are cheap items you can get at the dollar store. Clean the inside up. Clean the damn appliance. I mean, what the hell was on her stove? Like, I don't know. I mean, it was food from years ago that's still growing on there. Like, clean the place up. Keep the outside cleaned up. Like, keep the kudzu cut back. At least keep the shell of the house looking good, so if you post some pictures online, a real estate ad, I mean, just cleaning the place up and posting it with a realtor, she would have probably got an extra $50,000. You wouldn't have had to sell to one of these real estate equity groups that give you pennies on the dollar. I think they paid her $155 is what she said. They were going to give her for it. They'd offered $150, and I was like, there's more room than that. Like, you gotta, because when I told her I wasn't interested after looking at that day, I was like, if you're going to seriously consider one of their offers, call them back and say, I'm interested, but I can't do $150. You know, haggle with them a little bit, because like, they're offering you a lowball offer. There's wiggle room there. She ended up, I think she could have got more than $155, but that's what she said she took from them. And so these people, a real estate group like this, I don't know if they will rent it out or if they will just fix it up and sell it. But either way, I mean, if they got a team of people that can come in and clean the place up and then fix all of put the floors down, heat and air unit, fix the leak, do the electrical stuff, there's a lot of money that's going to have to go into this house. Like, it's not a cheap fix. But if you're one of these real estate groups and you've got a team of people that you keep on the payroll to go into these situations, like, they can knock it out pretty quickly and turn a huge profit on this place, whether they choose to sell it or rent it out. Because I mean, hell, renting that house rented in my area is going to be minimum $2,000 a month between the school district it's in and just having a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in my house or my area that size this time in life that we're in. It's $2,000 a month they're going to make rent on it. So it would have been a good deal for somebody. I could have certainly got a good deal on it, potentially, if I had the skills to do some of this stuff myself. Like if I had the ability to fix stuff, and you could get a house for half price or less than half price and just take your time fixing it up, do a little at a time. Like there was money to be made there. But when you got somebody like me, when I'd have to hire somebody out for every single job in that place, and there was going to be a lot of stuff between what I saw and who knows what a home inspector would find if they went in there and really investigated. Now, when you got leaks like that that's been going on for a while, you got to worry about mold. The house is kind of down in the woods, so the fact it's up, maybe there's termites. I mean, there's so many other little things that's maybe you don't see, in addition to what the big things are that you do see. It's like, yeah, I couldn't take on that project. I just couldn't do it. So I am going to take her cat, though, to my friend Mark, Deuce's Wild Fishing Charters. See, Mark, he's a friend of mine. Mark Naraki, formerly Deuce's Wild Fishing Charters. He's kind of let the fishing guy business go because he's got so busy with his other stuff. He runs a jiu-jitsu school. He runs I don't even know what it's called. It's like a shooting type, tactical type thing, school, class. But he's got so busy with these other projects, he's kind of let the fishing guide service go. But he's a friend of mine that he's one of them people, him and I, we might chat or send some messages once a month, and then at some point in time, we're gonna get together and fish, and we'll really catch up. Or I'm gonna go over to his house, he's gonna grill some burgers, and we're gonna sit there for a couple hours and just chat and catch up. But when it happens, I'm gonna call him or he's gonna call me. Like he ain't showing up knocking on my damn door unexpected. You know what I mean? Like that's how him and I are with each other. Like we're friends. He could call me in an emergency situation, and I would drop whatever I'm doing and go help him out. And I could call him in that situation, and he would drop everything and come help me. Like we're friends. Like he's a good friend of mine. I'm a good friend to him. But like neither him or me, we're both like the type of people that just, you can count on us, but we're not going to be socializing with you every day. Like that's just how him and I both are. And when me and him jive like that, we're cool with that. Like we both have our boundaries and we're both cool with it. But anyway, Mark he's got him a little farm. Like he moved a few years ago. I think he's got 4 or 5 acres. Well, maybe it's more than that, I don't know, but he's off the road a ways and he's got some property and he's turning into a farmer. He's got him some goats, he's got him some chickens. It's a whole operation he's got going on out there. And so he was looking for him. I was fishing with him when Callie from K&K Fishing Adventures come to town a few weeks ago, and we were out there on his boat fishing, and we was talking about how he was looking to get a cat. And I was like, don't get you a cat. I know the perfect cat for you. Because my neighbor girl, she's got all the damn cats, right? Hold on a second. I just saw that fish swim up and just sit still right there at her baits, and that's a bigger mark. That's on the front baits up there. There's 2 fish right there. There's several fish right there, but there were 2 of them that were a little bit larger marks that just come up. There's one, and there's one, and there's one, here's one, here's one. There comes another. We got a school of fish down there, and there's a couple bigger marks in there. Y'all may not be able to see very good because the screen's dirty and the sun's shining right into it, but if you can't see it, just take my word for it. I wouldn't lie to you. I only lie to women I'm banging. There's several marks though. They just come in, they swim around the baits. Who knows what, I mean, they may not be cats. It could be carp, buffalo, who knows. But there's some fish down there. We'll see if we get bit in a minute. Anyhow, Mark was thinking about getting him an outdoor cat because he's got all this farm life going on now. And a person's got a farm, they need a cat to catch mice and rodents and stuff. And I was like, don't you dare go get a cat, because my neighbor has all these cats and she's getting ready to go. And I said, one of these cats is the best cat ever. It's the friendliest cat, folks. Like, I was out there working last year, cutting down some trees, chainsaw. You know, chainsaw, it's making a lot of noise, right? So it would scare most animals. Not this cat. This cat come right up, be purring around my leg, rubbing on my leg there while I'm trying to saw down trees and whatnot. I'm like, it's the friendliest cat. All her other cats are wild. Like, she's got a bunch of strays and stuff. Even the cats, when I went in the house to look at her house that day, there were a bunch of cats in there. But, like, they weren't friendly. Like they weren't gonna let me get near them or pet them or anything. They were wild. Hell, they might have come in through the damn busted out windows. Hell, I don't know. But anyway, there's one cat down there. It's super friendly. It's the best cat ever. And she had said, a neighbor girl said she was gonna take those cats to the pound, gonna get them rounded up before she left and take them to the pound, take them to shelter. And I was like, man, I don't want to see that cat, the good cat, have to go to the pound, because it's a few years old. And the likelihood of it getting adopted is not very good. I mean, let's be real. Most of the time somebody goes to the pound to get a cat, they're probably going to get a kitten. It's harder to get an older cat adopted. I didn't want anything bad to happen to this cat, but at the same time too, like I love this cat, but I don't want it. Like, I don't want I don't want another cat in the house. I had a cat for 16 years, and she was great. But she died last year, and while I miss her, I don't miss having a cat in the house. The cat litter, the hair, the puke, cats puke all the damn time, you know, like it was always something, you know. Love the cat, but hate having the cat. So I didn't want to bring this cat in the house. And this is an outdoor cat, although it goes into the neighbor girl's house from time to time. But I can't have it as an outdoor cat at my house because I've got Daphne the dog, and if I throw out cat food, she's going to eat it. Uh-oh. One of them finally hit our head bait up here. They tapped it. All them damn fish, and all they want to do is just a little tap. Daggone fish. But, I mean, if I try to feed an outdoor cat at my house, Daphne the dog is going to eat it. And so the cat ain't going to have food, and she's going to keep the cat chased off all the time, although this cat ain't afraid of Daphne. Like, I was down there petting it the other day, and it come up. I went on the outside of my fence so I could pet the cat without Daphne. And Daphne's sitting there barking on this side. And the cat will go up and, like, touch noses with Daphne and try to swat it and stuff. Like, it ain't scared of Daphne at all. It's used to my neighbor girl's dog. But it's not going to just hang out at my house, and I'm not going to be able to keep it up there and keep it fed. And so once the neighbor girl is gone and somebody new comes in, who knows if they're going to, because some people don't like cats. I mean, if you got a fancy car, if you're a car guy, you don't want a cat getting paw prints all over your vehicle and stuff. Or if you got a boat with carpet, you don't want a cat getting up in there and eating a mouse, things like that. So the next people to come in may not be as appreciative of that cat as I am, and they may take it to the pound or kill it or who knows what. So anyway, I want this cat to go to a good home, even though I don't want to be the person to give it a good home. So when I'm out there on the boat with Mark and Callie and we're talking and he's looking for a cat, I'm like, don't you dare get you a cat, Mark. I know just the one for you. And so I talked to the neighbor girl, and she's cool with us taking that cat because she was going to take it to the pound anyway. She can't take it with her where she's going, she said. So the plan was I was going to take it to Mark's house last week, right? Well, we had all that rain coming in, the hurricane rain, whatever. And so we were like, well, we don't want to take the cat to Mark's house right before we have all this rain because it's going to be in a new environment. It may not know where it can get out of the rain at or where it can hide, and it may run off. Like that's what you worry about with an outdoor cat is like, is it going to stick around in a new environment or is it going to just run off? And so we had all that rain coming. Like, well, let's wait until the rain passes. Well, by the time the rain passed, this week, Mark's out of town. He's got a trip. And I'm like, well, you don't want to just take it and drop it off at his house. You want it to hopefully, I'd ideally like to take it over there, let him and his wife interact with the cat, pet it, bond with it a little bit, and be there at home so they can interact with it daily and try to get it used to being there and keep it from running off. So didn't want to just take it over there while he's out of town and nobody be home. And of course, I'm leaving out on Monday, so we're going to have a window of time here, hopefully, to get this cat over there. But I don't want to see anything bad happen to this cat. This it's such a friendly cat. I'm a sucker for animals. I don't give a damn about people. Man, I'm so jaded when it comes to human beings. Like, I'm a Vince McMahon type person when it comes to people. Like, I fully admit it. I'm just not into people, but an animal in need, here's my checkbook. Like, just take what you need. Like, I'm a sucker for a sick animal or an animal in a bad situation. And this cat, it's kind of in a bad situation right now with the neighbor girl leaving and who knows what's going to be moving in next there, and me not being able to, or not wanting to take it in. I could take it in. But, and I've thought about it. I've been back and forth, but I really just don't want another, I can't have it outside with Daphne, and I don't want another indoor cat. I want the good parts of having an indoor cat, but I don't want the cat litter, the hair, the puking, trying to keep the cat off the counter, scratching up the furniture, stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot that goes with having a cat. I just don't want all that. And my girlfriend, she's allergic to cats too, so that would be a problem. And so it's not a good situation, but I know Mark would give this cat a good home. His property there is kind of off the road, so you don't have to worry about it getting hit by a car. Like, it's a perfect situation for this cat if we can get it over there and keep it there. So I'm hoping whenever he gets back, either tomorrow or Sunday, I'm hoping to run that cat over to him. And he better be fixing me a hamburger too for the trouble, by gosh. Oh, Mark, he's a pretty good cook. I'll tell him he ain't worth a damn catching a fish, but he can cook a hamburger. He cooks, this kills me, but he does this. And some of y'all will probably light up my comment box about this. Mark refuses to use a gas grill. He uses charcoal. And so when you go over his house and have him cook you a hamburger, like, it's a good thing that him and I like, when we catch up, we like to sit there and chat for a couple hours, because that's how long it's going to take to cook a hamburger on a charcoal grill. It just takes forever. I'm like, Mark, man, propane, you can get a 20-gallon tank, a refill for $20 over there at the Walmart. Like, just get you, and a gas grill is $100. Like, it's just, cook on the gas, man. Nope. Got to be charcoal with him. Charcoal grill only. But he's pretty good at the whole cooking thing. And I'm all about some free food, so whenever the invitation happens, I'm all about going over there and getting a bite of food for free. Yeah, it's like that though. And some of y'all may not be able to understand this. And some of you may be like, no, Justin, I totally get it. It's all about your personality and what kind of person you are. But like me and my friends there, Mark being a prime example, like him and I, we can go a month or two without speaking, without texting. And then when we do, it's like no time has passed. Like, we just pick up right where we left off. But I don't want him around me all the time. I don't want to be hanging out with him all the time, and he don't want to be hanging out with me all the time. Like, him and I are both like, kind of antisocial. Like, we need some socializing. We need some friends in our life, some communication, but we don't need maybe as much as some other people do. So like him and I, it really works out. Like, him and I are good friends like that. Like, it can, when we see each other once, twice a month, hang out. Sometimes, hell, we went a few months before without seeing each other or talking. But when we get back together again, it's like, it's cool. And we enjoy our company there for an hour or two, and then we go back to our regular lives. But again, if I got an emergency or something, if I'm broke down on the side of the road and I need help, I know I could call him and he would be there in a second. And same with him. If he needs something, whatever it is, give me a call. I would run right there to help him out. Like, that's a good friend. Daniel, y'all have seen Daniel on my channel a bunch, owner of Catfish Sumo. Like, him and I are good friends. He lives down there in Chattanooga. So, I mean, he's a good distance away. Him and I, we fish together a handful of times a year, but when we're not fishing together, we barely talk. Like, we barely, unless it's something business related, because, I mean, he's got the Catfish Sumo business, and I represent him on this YouTube channel using his gear, and he makes my signature series rods and whatnot. So there's times when there's something business related, we'll do a phone call or something and coordinate whatever it is we need to do as far as business goes. And then we'll usually go into the, hey, how's life? What's going on? Yada, yada, yada. And we certainly chat when we fish together and whatnot. But the rest of the time, like, I mean, if I pulled up my phone right now and went to the last time I talked to Daniel, hell, it's probably been 2 or 3 weeks. Like, I'm not up my friends in their business all the time. They're not in mine. Like, everybody's got their own lives, and we come together when the time is right, and then we go about our lives again. That's how, if you're going to be friends with me, that's how you have to be, folks. Like, that's just, I can't have somebody texting me and calling me and showing up all the time. Like, it's too much. Unless we're dating. Like, I'm the type of person, I need one person in my life. And, you know, like my girlfriend, her and I spend more time with her than anybody. And I'm okay with that. Now, I still need time away from her. I love my time with her. We have a lot of fun together, but I still need me time too. Like, I need time to myself, because I'm very introverted. I'm an antisocial, introverted person. Like, if I don't have me time, if I'm around people too much, it stresses me, man. It exhausts me. Back when I was working a real job, I was a nurse, and I had to be around people all the time, clearly. Patients and other staff and stuff there at the hospital. The hardest part of the job for me, the most stressful part, what really exhausted me, wasn't the physical part of the job, just being on my feet for 12 hours and being constantly on the move. Like, that was tiresome. I'd be tired from that, physically tired. But what really exhausted me was when I worked a 6 on, 8 off schedule most of the time, and 6 days of just 12 hours a day of human interaction. Like, when my first day off after that 6-day stretch, like, I just needed to be alone. Like, I just needed to decompress, just be by myself. And so that's just how I am. And I know some of you all out there are introverted and maybe totally understand that. And some of you are just there's some people that's the exact opposite of me. Like, they need human interaction all the time. And that's how they recharge their batteries, is being around other humans in that interaction. And introverts like myself, we recharge our batteries by being alone and being away from people. And so when you have someone who's introverted like me, and you have somebody like my neighbor who's clearly an extroverted person that needs human interaction and lots of it, like, it's oil and water, man. And again, he's a good guy. He's a good person. He's probably a better person than me, Lord knows. But it's too much for me. It's too much. And I don't want to be rude. And like yesterday, you know, I'm eating lunch and he comes up and he's clearly excited about this business he started and whatnot. He wants to give me the business card, show me and everything. And, you know, I don't want to take away from that because this fish is trying to take our bait away. He's got it, I think. Let's reel another one in. Yeah, he's on there. I hope this one unhooks himself too when we get him up here. You think he will? It's gonna be another one that ain't gonna measure up to that big fish. This fish right here could be eaten by that big fish. Oh Lord, that's a channel cat. That is not what we want, and he's hooked good too, so there's no way in hell he's coming undone. Dadgummit. Yeah, we didn't want this today, folks. This fish right here could easily be eaten by that big blue we caught earlier. Come here, channel kitty. Some people love these channel cats. I got people defending them on my channel all the time. If I catch a channel cat, something's going wrong though. So something's went wrong here. I busted him up though. He's got a bloody lip or something there because of me. The fish will go file a complaint. All right, let's get us another hunk of skipjack on there. Let's see what we can do. You know what else I've got in here that might be interesting to try for a minute? Bluegill. I'm not a fan of bluegill. Like I use them. I use them live, I use them cut. Not a huge fan. But the other day there when I went out, I tried to catch some skipjack unsuccessfully. And I started throwing the ultralight rod and I thought I'll just get us some live bluegill for the next day. And I caught a few. I had stuck them in the bucket, and then I got on them crappie. And I knew my bucket was going to be crowded, so I took the bluegill out and I threw them in the cooler. And so they've been sitting here. Let's try a piece of bluegill. Just to mix it up, just for variety's sake. Let's just try it for a little while. Let's give it, y'all holler at me in about 30 minutes. If this ain't got a bite or got a fish or anything. But I mean, we've saw, how many fish now have we seen come into our baits, look around, swim off without eating? I mean, if it's a bait situation, maybe it wouldn't hurt just to have something else on. We definitely going to have a crappie head on the rest of the morning though, because after that other one ate it. If one big fish will eat it, the others will too. I've caught some really good fish on crappie. Like that's why I'm willing to put up with the BS that I put up with online from the crappie fishermen, because it's a good bait, especially late winter, early spring. I don't usually get them this time of year very much in the fall to even be able to use them, but just got lucky there the other night. Unfortunately, we got on the water there yesterday. One of them had died in that bucket, and then when one fish dies in the bucket, the others typically soon behind it, with the way the water level, pH changes and whatnot. But yeah, man, like, I don't know. I've always been like this too. This ain't something that's new to me. Like, I've always been kind of a introverted person. Like, even as a kid and stuff, I needed alone time just for me. Some people can't be alone. Like, I've had girlfriends in the past and the relationships never last because they're just so needy. I mean, they're what I would consider needy, because they just always got to be around you and stuff. And I just, like, Need a little space, need a little distance. Fortunately, my current girlfriend, like she's cool with it. Like she understands my need for space and is willing to allow me that. And so her and I, we kind of jive like that. And she's kind of the same way too. Like she has her friends, they'll go out and do something a couple times a month, meet up for dinner, girls' night or whatever. But then the rest of the time, like she's either with me or she's by herself. Like she's kind of the same as me in that situation. Like we need some human interaction. We need some of it, but we need maybe not as much as other people. But I think I've kind of just evaluated my life a little bit, tried to be introspective, I guess you could say, and study myself. I like to do that from time to time, just to try to figure out my own limitations and flaws in myself best I can. And what I've kind of figured out about myself is that I need a number one. I need that one person, you know, like my girlfriend. Like that's kind of like my primary go-to socialization, human interaction type person. And then I like having my circle of friends that I can count on them, they can count on me. You know, the Martin Rockies, the Eric Romines type people that they get me, I get them, but we're not just up each other's asses all the time. This better not be another channel cat right here. Oh my gosh, is that another one, folks? He ain't acting like a very big fish. He's on that bluegill though, wasn't he? That bluegill is what he eat. It's still on there. Let's send it back down. Old channel cat. I don't know if that was a channel cat or not, but it might have been. I'm gonna blame it on the channel cat. Oh, he just hit it. Did you see that? I dropped it back down, he hit it. I felt him thumping as I was about to put it back in the rod holder. I put it right in his face, I guess. How about that, man? Goodness gracious. You talk about timing. On the bluegill. All right, well, hell, we'll put some more bluegill down there then if that's what they want. I aim to please. I got some more in that bag. This was a chunk. We got them 2 crappie heads on. Oh, that's a bigger fish right there. I didn't think he was that big. I thought it was another dink I was pulling up the way he was fighting. Go ahead and get out of your system, fish, before you... Oh, we got another one on this rod. Oh boy, he's gonna take back down. Here, I'll tell you what, let's put this one back. This one here, he actually wants to fight a little bit now. He didn't fight like that in the beginning. Let's pick up on this one now. Well, that other, he fought, he nailed it when I dropped it down, and I thought I was reeling up another dink. I think maybe he is a larger dink, smaller fin size, but still, I didn't know he was that big until he took off. We got some fish willing to eat here coming through now. Oh, I hope these two don't get all wrapped up in each other over here. That's going to be a bad day if that happens. We do not want these two running circles around each other. Get him up here and take a look. Water's so muddy, we can't see down in the water at all. Can't get a look at them until they come up. It's the same size. Smaller, call it smaller fun size, if you will. Yeah, man. All right, one on the head, skipjack head. One on the bluegill chunk. We got some more fish working through right there. I see them. It's been a productive area. Been a productive spot. All right. I'm gonna, I guess, land the one in the hand here first. God knows y'all ain't gonna land any of these fish for me. I can't get you to do nothing. Probably won't even bait a hook when we're done with this, will you? I hope you at least took a picture for me of that other fish that I was holding up. I should have got my other camera out for it, really. This camera I'm using don't have very good pictures when you get screenshots of the video footage. This one here I don't think's hooked very good. Okay. Let's hold him out like that. That's a, yeah, I mean, larger dink, smaller fun size. You call it what you want. Matters not. A good time's what I call them. That's what I call them all, man. They all fun like that. The bigger one was certainly more fun. This one here is a little bigger than that other one right there. Yeah, this one here is mad at us. This one here, he's upset. He said this ain't what he signed up for. This right here is one of them fish. He needs human interaction about once a year. He said he's at his limit here with me. Yeah. Oh, easy. Now you done caught now. You done caught, so why don't you just give up? It's over, fish. He got that hook kind of funny, didn't he? It's in the mouth, but it like hooked inside the mouth and then turned back inside the mouth. There we go. I've give worse fish front camera time, but I ain't gonna give this a none. He's ugly. You too ugly for the front camera fish. Get on then. There you go. Well, that was a productive little stretch right there. Got us a double. Let's find us another bluegill to put on and see if we can spruce up our skipjack head here. I have another, okay, I do have another big skipjack. Got just a few whole skipjack left, and unfortunately, the others in there, I believe, are smaller. Get that bluegill right there, I see. We'll just take another chunk since that's what the last fish eat. My knife's about had it. People ask me all the time about these knives, what I use and stuff. I get the cheap ones, Walmart, like $1 and something. That's what I do. I take these shears and cut these fins oftentimes. I feel like that can possibly impede you getting a good hook set sometimes. I like to go ahead and trim them off. They don't serve no purpose. They certainly ain't helping draw in any more fish, so I don't think there's any reason to really have them on there. Bluegill chunk about to go down. Man, I dropped that down. It must have been just perfect timing to put it right in the fish's face, because I mean, he was on it. I was about to put it back in the rod holder and he was on it. That's happened a few times before. Just right place, right time. I'm seeing some more fish down there though. I mean, you can see them there. They just keep coming in along the bottom. I'd say they're working in and out of these creeks. I've said that so many times though, my videos, like how I like to set up. It's just, I set up in places that are situations where fish are going to have to travel through my area. That head's had it. And it ain't gonna necessarily work out every day. Sometimes you're gonna be in the right place, but you're just gonna be there at the wrong time. Sometimes the place looks great on the map and there's just, fish just don't use it. That happens too. But you have to change your mindset a little bit. If you're gonna fish like I'm doing today, where we're sitting on a specific spot and we're dropping baits down right under us. All our baits are within just a very small radius right here under us. You have to change your mindset. And my buddy Dewey, who's another friend I've fallen out of touch with, I need to give him a call, see what he's up to these days. Me and Daniel was having dinner with him there a couple of years back whenever the whole fly thing come about. And Dewey really summed it up well with what we're doing when you fish like this. We're fishing, right? We got baits in the water on a hook. Like the act of what we're doing is called fishing. But in reality, what we're doing is hunting. Because you got to imagine a hunter in a tree stand. A lot of you guys out there watch my videos, you also hunt. It's hunting season right now. What is today? October 4th, I'm filming this, I think. October 4th. So, we're here at hunting season for a lot of people. A hunter goes out in the woods, he ain't tromping around through the woods looking for a deer, right? Like he's setting up, he's gonna set up in a blind, in a tree stand, and he's gonna put himself in a situation where deer are gonna pass through. He's got an opening to be able to take the shot, and he's setting up in an area where a deer is gonna be passing through. Maybe it's on a trail, maybe it's on a clearing, maybe near a water source or something where deer are gonna be coming in. But either way, it's a place where that hunter is expecting a deer to come through. He's not going to set up randomly out in the middle of the woods and hope for the best, right? He's going to try to set up in a place where he's going to, at some point during the hunting season, be out there when a deer comes walking through that area. We're doing the same thing with fishing. Like when you set up how I'm doing today, we're setting up on a spot and we're needing fish to come through us on their path coming out of the main, in this situation, coming out of the main channel, working into this creek. They're coming through us. So it's more hunting than it is fishing. But because it is still technically, we're putting baits on a hook and we're fishing, it's considered fishing. But you got to have a hunting mindset. You got to be willing to put in the time, log some hours that just may not pan out. I mean, think about this. Think about all you guys out there. And listen, I'm not a hunter, okay? Like I never got into it. But I know enough about it to know that when people go out hunting, they're up in that tree stand, they may oftentimes put in hours without even seeing a deer. They may put in a whole hunting season without seeing that trophy buck that they're looking for to take the shot on, right? Like they oftentimes log a lot of hours in that tree stand over the hunting season waiting on that one deer. Well, it's the same thing when you fish like I'm doing today. Like we're logging hours on a spot that has potential for big fish to move through. Now, today we've hit a home run here. We got our trophy fish, right? But think about all the times, the hours I've put in. Hell, just this week alone, this is my fifth day. Today's my 5th day fishing in a row this week. That's the biggest fish by a mile. Like I put in 4 or 5 hours a day every day this week. And boom, we find ourselves right place, right time today. So it's just a different mindset. Now, most people, I think they think of fishing, you've got the bass fishing mindset where you're actively moving, you're casting, you're working a lure, making a presentation to try to get fish to bite. Even cat fishermen that are moving, if you're fishing below a dam and you're bumping and you're working that bait downriver, or you're dragging and you're pulling planer boards and you're actively on the move trying to take your baits to fish, like that's more fishing in the sense that we know it, right? Like you're moving, your baits are moving, you're presenting it to the fish, trying to tempt them to bite. But what we're doing is just sitting and waiting, man. We're baiting and waiting. We're waiting like a hunter in a tree stand waiting on that big buck to step into that clearing. Like that's what we're doing with this. So you have to switch your mind from bass fisherman who's expecting to catch a bass on every cast he makes to hunter who's just knows when you leave the house, like I may sit in a tree stand all day today and not even see a deer, or may not see the deer I want. Like that's me coming out here doing this. Like I know every day I'm going to have a chance at a big fish, but I don't know if I will get that big fish or if I will get any fish that day. Like you just don't know, but you have to be comfortable that you have to be okay with that. And that takes patience. You can't take an impatient person out in the woods and put them in a tree stand for 8 hours. They're just, they can't stand it. They can't sit still. They can't be quiet that long. They just can't do it. And oftentimes you see that with fishing too. I've had bass fishing friends I've brought out and they're just 30 minutes into a trip without a bite. They're bored out of their mind. They can't stand it. And it ain't like they get a bite all the time. How many bass fishing friends do I have that's got skunked in an 8-hour tournament? A lot of them. They've casted for 8 hours and not got a bite. But they were doing something the whole time. Like their mind was engaged, their body's engaged, they're physically doing something. So it's different when you just, like right now, I got my feet, I'm set up here, I'm kicked back, relaxed, we're just waiting on the next fish to bite, man. But it's just your personality. It's your personality, what you like to do, what you're comfortable with. If you don't have patience, then what I'm doing today ain't for you. If you do have patience, then doing what I'm doing today won't pay off for you every day, but when it does, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. We've had a good time out here today. We've already got more fish today than what I caught yesterday. And way better quality. That's the biggest fish I've caught. It may be the biggest one of the year, but it's definitely the biggest blue I've caught since that one back in February or March, whenever it was. I remember I was using suckers that day. That fish I caught, I'd made a long run that day. I was like an hour away from home, and then I had about a 30, 45 minute run once I got on the water to fish that spot. That's why I don't fish down there very often, because it's such a long drive and a long haul to get to, even once I'm on the water. But I was using suckers, and that fish ate that fly. That particular one did. And it was a doozy. It was a whopper, just like the one we got earlier. Speaking of pulling planer boards and stuff, dragging, old Ryan Bortz, buddy, old Bottle Rocket Bortz, as I call him. That's another friend of mine Ryan probably, of all my friends, Ryan probably messages me the most. I need to work on him with that, because he does message me too damn much. At least he don't show up uninvited, unannounced, but he does message me all the damn time. But anyway, old Bottle Rocket Bortz, I think he's leaving out tomorrow to go to Louisiana. I'm gonna leave out on Monday. Hopefully he'll have a bait source figured out by the time I get down there. But he's been making planer boards, making them B-Cat planer boards. And Ryan pulls boards all the time. Like, that's his favorite way to fish. He likes it. I've told you all this numerous times, but I hate pulling planer boards. Like it ain't no fun to me. When you got out that much line, there's a big splash in front of us. When you got out that much line and you pulling them boards, and hell, half the damn fights you're fighting the board until you can get it unclipped on your line. It just, to me, planer board fishing ain't fun. Oh, here we go. Let's put my glasses on here. Head bait. Nice, nice. He's pulling line. He's taking some drag. To be continued. Don't let me forget to tell you about old bottle rocket boards. I think this is going to be another decent fish right here. We got a little tug of war game going on here. I like playing tug of war. Unluckily for this fish, I've had a little break since the big one, so my arm's good and rested now, so I'm ready for him. Here's the difference in what I'm doing right now and planer board. If we were planer board fishing and we hooked the same fish, we'd have 1,000,000 feet of line out plus the board. With this situation, I'm fishing 45 feet deep, so we got about 42 feet of line out, and he's right under me right now. Like, this is a straight up and down. This is a battle, man, on a short line. When you planer board fishing, hell, the fight's over before you get that fish within 100 yards of your boat. I mean, the blue cats, they're hard fighters, but it's not, even that big one we caught earlier, I mean, it just takes a few minutes. It's not a long, sustained fight. So I want to have that fight on as short a distance of the line as possible to make it the most amount of fun. That's my thought on it. That's why I like fishing how I do here. And it's the spin fishing, the takedowns are bigger, the fights are more intense. Like, it's just better, in my opinion. May not be always the most productive technique, but it's just better, in my opinion. Those are some big bubbles coming up. Big bubbles. I think this fish might end up being bigger than what I think he is, and I think he's pretty good. It takes a good fish to make bubbles like that. We should be getting close here to seeing him. No, he's on par with how big I thought he would be. I just saw them bubbles and thought, boy, he's going to be bigger, but he's big enough. We're going to have to play him out a smidge. He's front camera worthy. I'll give him that. Good fish, man. On the skipjack head. I hope that head's still on too, because I think this is my last big head. We got other skipjack heads we can use, but I think that's the last big one. Another splash over here to our right. Yeah, good fish. He's left that head on good. Good deal. What a good day, man. What a good day. I needed this. I needed this as a confidence boost. I just really been struggling this week to get anything consistently going, and today was much needed. Much needed boost. We'll play him out here just a smidge longer before we try to get hold of him and bring him in here and have him tear up some of y'all's stuff in here. You probably got one of you's probably brought your purse or something in here. Got it under the seat. You don't want this fish knocking it overboard or something. Come here, fish. Gotta ask this fish what he's been doing today. You think he's out running errands today? He going to the grocery store? Come here, fish. It's time now. These people tired of waiting on you. They clicking off the video because they tired of waiting on you. Yeah, he's This, oh, that head got hit. It got thumped, man. I was like, did I imagine that? Or did that head bait get thumped? Oh, he just let it go. I think that was a flathead. Let's set that back, see if he comes back. I think that might have been a flathead, because I don't know if you saw it on camera, but I thought I felt like a little pa-bump. And then it just went down. I think that might have been a flathead bite. We'll never know, but that was suspect right there. It wasn't a big fish, regardless. It wasn't, I could tell when I picked up there, it was not a big fish, but still, I think it might have been potentially a flathead. The time of year is right for flatheads, but with the conditions we've had lately, it's just kind of thrown everything off, I feel like. At least it has for me. It's definitely thrown everything off for me, trying to pattern these fish and find them and whatnot. All right, got that undone. I'll give him some front camera time here. You've earned it, fish. That was a nice takedown. Yeah, I mean, that's a solid fun sizer. Definitely not, the bar's been set high today. We've got our trophy for the day, but this is still a quality fish, man. I'm happy to get this kind of fish on any trip. This fish right here, honestly, is probably bigger than, I think he's bigger than the biggest one yesterday or the day before. So you're definitely an upgrade over those other fish. He's proud to be that too, ain't he? We'll see you, buddy. There he goes. All right. Let's get our head bait back down. I'm gonna reel in this crappie head here that got hit behind us. Let's just make sure that it's still on the hook. I don't know if it is or not based on what it felt like there when I dropped it back down. This one still hooked good, still looks good, so we'll send this skipjack head back down. I don't know if that was, we'll never know if that was a flathead or not. But I felt it. And in a kayak, you oftentimes can feel it, just like a ka-bump. And I saw my rod tip and down it went. Yeah, this bait's still on. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, it's still, yeah, it looks rough. Let's switch this thing out. It's probably time to switch these pieces of crappie out. I'm about to play with fire by cutting up another crappie here on the, I just specifically said how I never cut more than one crappie at a time. And I don't like cutting more than one at a time, just in case I am in that situation and where we got the gray area with the laws. You know, I don't like playing with fire too much, but we're gonna play with it a little bit today, by damn. Because I'm gonna cut this other crappie here. Here he is on the board. Over 11 and a half inches. So well over the 10-inch size that they gotta be in my area. I think what I'll do too, it's probably time to switch out that other one over there on the other side. I'll probably just go ahead, we'll put the head down on this rod, and I'll reel in that other head, and we'll just put a chunk, put it down there. I wanted another head on after that big fish ate the head, but nothing's happened since, so we'll go back to a chunk. Both of the biggest fish of the day, though, have been on heads. That one on the crappie head, and then that last fish there on the skipjack head. This crappie head, you can hook them either way. Most head baits, I go up under the gill out of nostril. I do that with crappie too sometimes. Sometimes, because you get a bigger crappie, you see how wide this part of the bait is? Oh, look right here. We got weight on this rod. I ain't even paying attention. Let's get this out of the way. We got a fish on here. I want to go ahead and drop this crappie down real quick. Let's just get it down here. That fish is just swimming off with that bait. I never felt him hit. I wonder, maybe I was distracted. I was talking to y'all. Maybe I didn't feel him hit. Or maybe it's a flathead and just kind of snuck up on us there. Maybe that's the case too. This is on the bluegill. Did he let it go? Crap. Crap, y'all. Why didn't you pick up on that rod? Boy, if I had a fishing partner worth a damn, I swear we'd catch double the fish. You should have grabbed that rod while I was getting the other bait ready. I can't not count on you all for, I swear you all just sabotage me out here on purpose. I swear yous do. I just don't know what I'm gonna do with yous. Yeah, we're gonna switch this bait out though. Throw that down there. Take our freshly cut chunk and drop it down too. I never felt, maybe it did, I just was distracted, I don't know. Either way, it let it go. We're due a flathead though, man. We're due. Time of year's right. I was starting to get some flatheads. I busted a big one here recently before the rain and all. But then, you know, we had all this extra water come through from the flooding up northeast of us, and well, it's definitely thrown off the bite a little bit. It's thrown me off my game for sure. And I've struggled to adapt this week, although making up for it today. I'm definitely feeling a lot more confident after today and what we're experiencing out here. Anytime I catch a big fish like we got earlier, I'm going home happy, man. It reaffirms what I feel like I already know, and that it's just, look right here. I felt the kayak leaning. Another one. I didn't feel bite on that crappie head we just let down. I'm gonna crank down on this one, and I hope we land this one. If we pull this up and it's a flathead, and he just let go. I'm wondering if this ain't a flathead, and it's maybe the same flathead that's been down there. It's just a small flathead, and he's just messing with all these baits. Let's rehook this thing. He's about ripped it off the hook. Never felt him. I just felt the kayak starting to lean. I was trying to say about these crappie heads though, sometimes when they're a bigger crappie, if you hook them through the mouth and the lips, they've got this big area they got to eat before they get to the hook. If you hook them up here, I feel like they're going to eat them this way more likely, and maybe you get a better chance at a hook set. The downside of hooking like I have here is that usually you get one fish and they'll get ripped off the hook. Whereas if you go up under the gill plate and out a nostril, you can oftentimes get that bait back after you catch a fish. So where the hell's my sinker at? Okay, there it is on bottom. Now we're set how we need to. Something up here getting hit now. But what I was trying to say is, for me, when I have a good day like this and I catch that big fish, it kind of reaffirms what I think I know about it. Taking a place like this, and I can open up a map and point out 50 places like this within a few mile stretch on this river here. But when fish are going to be moving in and out of, let's say this creek, let's say they're coming from upriver and they going into this creek. Now this is a wide area here, so if they're coming upstream, normal situation where we don't have any flow, they're probably not going to know my baits are here. But now today, with us having a little bit of flow, our scent's getting pushed this way, so if fish are working up the ledge, they can pick up on that scent and come on over to this side of the creek and get it. But otherwise, I'm expecting fish that are coming down here behind us on the ledge and turning to go into this creek, or coming out of this creek that are working along the ledge this way. They're going to run into our baits. And so, to me, in my mind, it comes down to just being there when that happens, right? Like, it's just timing. And when I have a slump and things ain't working out, you kind of start, even with the success I've had through the years, you can kind of start playing mind games with yourself. Like, well, shoot, Justin, maybe you don't know what you think you know. But then when it all comes together like today, you're like, okay, it is. It's timing. It's a matter of time. You put in the hours and it all works out in the end. You're not going to get big fish every day, maybe not every week, but over the course of time, it's all going to work out. When you look back at your year's work, your life's work, whatever, it all pays off in the end. And so it's just boosts my confidence for sure, especially since this is going to be the last trip before I head out to Louisiana. What a way to go out on. And here's the other good part. Because I'm a few videos ahead now, I may be back home from Louisiana before this video comes out, which means I may come out here and hit it again before the other YouTubers start pounding this spot. So I may get another shot at it. I fished this spot last year, and I got 5 or 6 videos, man. Like, there was about a 2-week stretch I pounded this area, where every day I was getting big fish, I was getting some flatheads. Like, I had a good stretch of time period where there were just a lot of fish in the area. And then it petered out. You know, those fish got caught, they moved, and the spot petered out. But you can pick out a lot of places like this, and when fish work through them areas, you're going to get bit. Ain't nothing special about what I'm doing. Anybody can do it with very minimal efforts. You can learn how to read a map. Something was working out. There he goes. Oh, I let it go. But very minimal efforts, you can learn how to read a map. There's a bunch of resources. The Buck Perry books are excellent resource. Lots of free videos on YouTube there. Teach you how to read a contour map. There's the master class that me and Daniel there at Catfish Sumo, we put together. I ain't trying to sell class on here, but it is available. There's a link for it in the video description, but we took it from kind of a beginner level. If you're brand new, never been catfishing before, and you want to try from the very start, like, what do you need? Your gear, your kayak setup, baits, hooks, how to rig baits, how to read the map, how to set up on spots. Like, we did all that in that master class. So there's a lot, bottom line is though, there's a lot of resources out there that can teach you how to read a contour map and teach you how fish are going to move along the contours and teach you how to set up and whatnot. And if you just learn to do that, no matter what technique you're using, you're going to put your baits in front of more fish. And that's going to help you out a lot. If you just go and pick out, if we just went out here in the middle of the river and just anchor down, cast out baits, we might catch fish. Maybe there's a fish out there. That's what the planer board guys do. They put out these damn planer boards and cover a 100-yard stretch that's spray and pray. They're just hoping to get lucky, cover enough water, and put their baits in front of some fish, right? But if you learn how to read the contour map, you don't have to worry about getting lucky as far as putting your bait in front of a fish. You're going to have your baits where fish are going to be. What you're going to need to get lucky on fishing like this is just having your timing right. You're going to need fish to be there when you come through. Whereas the spray and pray, they're needing to get lucky that their bait just happens to run in front of a fish. So there's some luck involved either way, but I would rather try to get lucky and how we're doing today and get my timing right. And usually, I mean, oftentimes dawn is a great time to fish. It hasn't been lately. It's been kind of later on in the morning, a couple hours after sunrise seems to be when the better bite for me has happened lately. And I don't know what's going on. I haven't been fishing in the afternoons. It may be a good bite in the afternoon potentially. But that bite, the time period's going to change oftentimes throughout the month and throughout the season. But it comes down to timing, man. As our head bait here got a little tap. I see the fish right there tapping it too. Right there. We got some fish in front of us and behind us. Eye in the sky has seen these fish today, buddy. We've seen them. We've seen them come up there and look at them baits and swim off, and they finally, it seems like we're getting tapped at least more now. It's like they're more willing to eat now. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you, the planer boards. There's Ryan, old Bottle Rocket Boards. I got everybody calling him Bottle Rocket Boards. People have commented on my videos saying they've been calling him that in the comment box on his videos. And it's been great, man. I got everybody calling him that. But anyway, he's making planer boards for BCAT now. And he reached out to me. One of his messages, he messages me too often. He's another one of my friends. I need him to scale it back. But he wanted to make me some planer boards with my logo colors, like Kayak Catfish type of planer boards, and try to get me to use. I've used planer boards in the past. I got videos on my channel here using them, and like how-to videos showing how to use them and whatnot. I just don't like doing it. For me, it's just not fun. And I've been over that before in these videos, but I want to have fun when I go fishing. I want to have the most amount of fun possible. Catching fish is always fun, but some techniques are more fun than others, and I think catching fish on planer boards is the least fun way to do it. The least fun way. I'd just about assume not go fishing if I got to pull planer boards. But anyway, Ryan wants me to sell some planer boards for him, basically. That's what he wants. And he says he's come up with a way where I can fish how I like to fish and still use some boards. So what I assume he wants me to do is suspend baits off the boards and kind of, say you're in current, maybe you got a little flow and we're suspending baits, it would just spread out the baits just a little ways away from the kayak. Keep them close in, but just kind of use the boards to suspend the baits out a little bit. And it might prevent some tangles doing that and such. But I think it might also prevent some hookups potentially. Because when you suspend it under that board, it's basically acting like a float. And so right now, let's say one of these fish, we got our lines down, 42 feet of line here, directly under. So when that fish hits, he takes that rod down. The pressure from the rod tip loading turns the circle hook, we hook the fish, right? Like that tension hits right away, we hook the fish. At least that's the hope. That's what we're trying to do. If you got that planer board out a little ways and you're suspending the bait under the planer board, unless the current is pretty good, a good flow, or unless you're actively moving, you're not going to have very much tension on that line. Like the fish, when he hits the bait, he's going to feel the resistance of that planer board, which is kind of the float in that situation. And it's not necessarily, unless he just plows it and takes off, you're probably not going to get the best hookup in that situation. Unless you're fishing in a significant amount of current that can put the extra tension there on the line, or you're actively moving and are putting tension on that line. Like the line needs to be taut. So when that fish hits, it's going to load up your rod. If I understand, at least what I think Ryan's wanting me to do is this helicopter goes by. That's the real eye in the sky up there. Oh, as that helicopter goes by, that rod right there got hit. But anyway, I don't think that just having planer boards, like right now, there's very minimal flow here where I'm at. Right, the river here is so deep and so wide. Like over here behind us, you're like 80, 90 feet deep over here behind us. But it's so deep and so wide through here, even though they're moving a lot of flow downriver right now with all this extra rainwater we've had, like it's minimal flow right here in this area. Enough to disperse our scent, but not enough as, right now the kayak's sitting facing this creek because the breeze that has blown out. Like it should be facing into the current, but what little breeze we've had has turned the kayak this way. So I think if we just had some planer boards kind of in a light, very light current, just enough to get them away from the kayak and suspend baits, like, I just worry it's gonna, I haven't tried it, so I can't speak to 100% accuracy. But I feel like in my mind, you're gonna miss more fish doing that, I think. Now I think if you got more substantial flow, then you could probably suspend baits off them boards and spread them out and get good hookups. But if you got a light flow like what we're experiencing today, and you're not moving at all to keep those lines tight, I just don't think it's gonna work out. Oh, that right there may not work out either if that fish don't fully eat that bait. He's got it. I see my line starting to swim. He's got it. Let's see if he'll take it down. You go on with yourself there, fish. I'm gonna let you hook yourself. That way you can't blame me, fish. I think you let it go. Yeah, he let it go. He said I told him to go on, so he'll just go on. Yeah, old Bottle Rocket Bortz, man. He's been hell bent on getting me using planer board. He's like, I'll make you boards with your colors, your logo. I'll give you a cut of the sails. Like, I want you using these boards. And I'm like, Ryan, I'd just rather not go fishing if I got to use boards. I just don't, man. I'm just not into it. I gotta be having fun. Whatever I'm doing, like, I gotta be having fun. Who wants to go fishing and not have fun? I mean, look, I get it. If you're a fishing guide and you gotta put clients on fish, and you can go back in one of these big creeks here where fish could be spread out anywhere, and you can cover a 100-yard spread, and you go out there and you fish with them clients for 8 hours, you're not listening. If you pull boards and you got a 100-yard spread and you're going up these ledges, across these flats, back in these creeks, and you're taking clients around for 8 hours, you ain't getting skunked. You just ain't. Now, you come out here and you do what I do for 8 hours, and fish don't work through this area during that time, you might get skunked. Like if I was a fishing guide, and I'd have no desire to be a fishing guide. If I was, I wouldn't take people fishing doing what I'm doing. I just wouldn't, because it's too big a risk. If you're taking clients fishing, you got to put them on fish. So I would totally be running boards, and I get why they do it, because you're not going to get skunked in that situation. You're going to catch something. You know, if you're a YouTuber and you're just desperate for content, you know, you're going out there and you got to get videos, man. I get it. Like, pull your boards, because you're going to catch fish. You can't go out 8 hours, pull boards, covering that big a spread, and not catch something. But I know, he's after it again over here. He let it go again. I know myself that I'm competent enough in what I do and where I set up that I can get enough content for my needs without having to resort to doing things that I don't necessarily want to do. Now, if it's a tournament, I got money on the line, ego on the line, I may fish however, I'll do whatever I have to do in that situation. But just coming out here fun fishing like today, no competition. We're just out here. If I get a video today, great. If I don't, well, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm already a few videos ahead. So I'm gonna do what I wanna do. I'm just not that desperate to get content that I'm gonna do something I don't wanna do. But I get it. I get why people do it, especially if you're a fishing guide and you've got to get results for your clients. Like, it's too big a risk to come out here and spot lock or anchor down like I have and just maybe not have any fish work through for the duration of your guide trip. It's too big a risk. I wouldn't do it if I was them. Like, I would be doing the same daggone thing. So I get it. But for me, it just comes down to fun, and I don't have fun doing that. So I don't want to do it. You may be different, you know. You may be somebody that likes, Ryan, Bottle Rocket Boards, man. He loves pulling planer boards. He has fun with it. So it's to each their own. I mean, I can't tell you how to have fun. That's everybody's different. I mean, we've all got our own personality, what we like, but I like suspending baits. That's most fun to me. That's what I want to spend the bulk of my time doing. But it's just something I recommend you try it. Try it out. Try planer board fishing. See if you like it. And if you need planer boards, buy them from Ryan. I know he does a good job making them. But I don't think I'd be a very good planer board salesman. I've probably talked more people out of buying planer boards than what I could ever talk into buying them. Bear with me, folks. I had to get me a drink. Throat's dry. But I'll admit, though, when planer boards first kind of come on the catfishing scene, like, I was into it, man. Like, I wanted to learn as much as I could. When Zach Royce broke the North Carolina state record there twice in 24 hours a few years back. I can't remember when that was. 2016, maybe. Oh, this fish, I don't know if it's the same one that keeps hitting it, but he's got it now, and he seems to be hooked up now. No, he just let go. Daggone fish, I wish they'd leave this bait alone. That's our last big head. If they ain't gonna eat it, oh, it's chewed up too. Dang, this bait looks like crap. Let's put one of them smaller ones on, I guess. Daggone it. I knew they kept hitting that thing. They was gonna mess it up. Let's see what we got here. It's what would you call this? A small, a medium. We'll just use about a quarter of him there, maybe a third of him, along with the head. Get these smaller skipjack. They're oftentimes, even though you hook them up under the lip there, or under the gills and out the nostril, they're still so small they'll get ripped off the hook oftentimes. The big ones won't get ripped off like that, but the smaller ones still can. We'll try it though, because that other big head is just, it's about had it. It's been hit too many times. And I got too many cut crappie in that cooler right now. Today's the day. All them people that's been wishing bad stuff on me over the crappie, today's the day to get me, because I've broke my own rule of never having more than one cut at a time. But anyway, when Zach Royce is the one who made planer board fishing popular, like I'm sure people would comment about Zach on posts and stuff like, oh, I've been using planer boards for catfish for years. This guy took all the credit, but I was doing that years ago. Well, listen, maybe Zach wasn't the first person to ever use planer boards for catfish, but by damn, he's the one that made it popular, okay? He's the one that made it mainstream. So when that happened there a few years ago and he broke that state record twice, them huge fish over there, I wanted to learn from Zach. Like, I'm like, okay, planer board fishing, that's the next big thing, man. Like that, he's cracked the code. And so I went over there, and I think it was 2017, I think, 2018, I can't remember. I can't remember when I went over there, but I went over there and I booked a trip with Zach. I wanted to learn. And to Zach's credit, man, he is an awesome dude, like hell of a fishing guide and hell of a fisherman. And a lot of fishing guides, I've talked about guides like this before on videos, but like a lot of fishing guides, they just want to take you out and put you on some fish, you reel in some fish, catch them, have a good time, and then send you on your way. They don't want to tell you what they're doing, how they're catching them. They don't want to give you any information. They just want you to catch fish, have a good time, and go home. And when you're ready to go fishing again, call them up, book another trip. They don't want to teach you anything, because them teaching you something potentially cost them business in the future. So they're very secretive with their information. Zach wasn't like that at all. I went over there, I mean, I'm pounding Zach with questions because I was there to learn. I told him right up front, like, if we catch fish today, great, but I'm here to pick your brain. Like, any fish we catch is just a bonus. Like, if we get skunked today, I'm not going to be the least bit upset as long as I learn how to do what you do. Because, I mean, it was a full-on, it was a information trip for me. It was a knowledge trip. I went over there I was paying for an education is what I was doing, because I wanted to learn about it. I had never used planer boards for anything prior to that. And so I went over there, and to Zach's credit, man, he didn't hold back. At least I don't think he held back anything. He answered every question I asked, showed me the rigs, showed me how he was setting up, talked about the type of places he fishes, how he goes about it. Like, I mean, he answered every question I had, and like, I mean, and that's a good guide to me. Like, that's, if I'm gonna hire somebody, because I mean, I have the ability, I can get out on the water myself. If I'm hiring a guide, like, I'm going just to learn. Like, I'm not ever hiring a guide just to take me fishing. No offense to any of you who do, like, I mean, that's fine. A lot of people, you go on vacation, you just want to go fishing, you don't have a boat with you or whatever. These guides provide a service for that type of thing. But for me personally, if I'm fishing with a guide, I'm going to learn. And to Zach's credit, man, he taught me everything a person needs to know about planer board fishing to get started anyway. Now, I'm sure there's nuances to it and things that he's probably tweaked through the years, probably since I fished with him. I'm sure he's figured out new stuff and gotten better with what he does. He posts pictures all the time. I mean, he's one of those guides that's always got his clients on fish, and he's always posting new fish. Some of these fishing guides, we got some local ones around here like this. I can't stand them. They'll post, they get a big fish. You'll see that same picture of that fish pop up randomly for the next 5 years. Like, they'll just keep recycling old pictures to make it look like they're on big fish at the present time to try to get trips booked. But really, it was just, you know how people are. But Zach ain't like that. Like, he's all time posting new pictures, guide trips. I mean, he books a lot of trips too. Like, he's always posting new material. And so, I mean, if you're in North Carolina, he fishes Lake Gaston over there. If you're wanting to learn planer boards, or if you're just wanting a guide to take you out and put you on some fish, like, I highly recommend him. But anyway, I went over there to learn from him how to do the planer boards. And so I fished with him. I felt like I got a good education on it. I come home, I bought some of his planer boards. I don't know if he still makes them or not, but he used to have the Zach Royce edition planer boards. And I bought them. And I took them out and I caught fish. But again, it just wasn't, I didn't enjoy it as much, is what I'm getting at. Like, it's productive. I was able to do it. At the time when I first started it, I didn't have a bow mount motor kayak. And boy, that was difficult, man. Pulling boards without a bow mount, because that bow, when you're pulling boards, you want to keep moving forward the entire time. Rod goes down, you need to keep moving forward. When I was initially trying it in, I had my Hobie Outback at the time, you'd have your boards going off the side. Well, a big fish hits over here on your left, let's say. The kayak, the fish is pulling to the side and to the back of you, so the kayak's spinning around. You're turning back toward the fish. And so you end up getting all your lines wrapped around you. It was a mess. It was a disaster. So, you know, once I got the bow mount, much easier to do. Like, you can keep yourself going forward the whole time, and so you don't get that tangled mess. And of course now the new canoe kayaks and the guys like Ryan, he's in a Jackson, but he's Jimmy rigged his seat on where he can spin around backwards. You can fish off the back of the kayak. So, you know, it's more functional now to fish planer boards off a kayak than what it used to be with bow mounts and swivel seats and all that. But for me, it's just a matter of being fun. Like, and again, that's a personal thing. I'm not telling you how to have fun. You can have fun a lot of different ways. Some people like playing Pokemon. They have fun with it. I could care less. I don't even know what the hell a Pokemon is. It's not going to be something that's fun for me, but to each their own. If you like Pokemon and chasing imaginary things with your phone or whatever the hell they do, hey, whatever, you know, I don't care. It don't affect me. Go have you fun. But everybody's got their own thing, and for me, the planer boards just ain't it. But I would encourage you, if you're into catfishing or you're getting into catfishing, give it a try. Don't just listen to me and be like, oh, that Justin from Kayak Catfish channel, he don't like planer boards, so I'm not going to like it either. Don't be like that. Give it a try. Go out there. You may get into it. You may enjoy it. You may like the whatever about it. And so I would definitely encourage you to try it out. It's just, if you do end up being like me, you're going to hate it. And I've told Ryan numerous times, like, if I gotta use planer boards to catch fish, I'd just soon stay home. And the funny thing is I've beat them guys. When I go to a tournament, one of these kayak catfishing tournaments, most of the guys in the tournaments are pulling boards. Like, it's me versus the field, essentially, as far as the boards go. And there's been several tournaments now where I've beaten a lot of the guys pulling boards. I've won tournaments fishing 2 rods against guys that are running 8 and 10 off their kayaks pulling boards. And I was dragging baits too, but I wasn't spreading them out. I was dragging them right behind the kayak, and I was following the break lines, like I showed you there on the map card earlier when I had it pulled up, how we set up on here. Like, if I was pulling through this creek, for instance, fish, they can spread out and they move in these creeks. Like, they're going to disperse in the creeks. I don't really like dragging through creeks per se. The pulling planer boards is the more effective way to fish a creek. But if I was on a deeper creek like this, I'm going to work the edges. I'm going to go in on the edge, work that break line, and I'm going to turn, I'm going to come out the other break line over there, working them edges. And in the creeks, sure, you'll catch fish doing that, but you may not outperform the planer board guys. But when I'm out here on these ledges, and I know most of these fish, okay, that one hit. He hit it. That's on that smaller skipjack head we just sent down. Did he let it go? Yeah, he did. Let it go. Just a tease. But like if it's a ledge bite going on, if those fish are out on the main channel, I know I can effectively fish with 2 rods, working them brake lines, dragging, and hold my own against the guys pulling the boards, because they're going to have their boards, they're going to be covering a huge spread, but if them fish are on the ledges, man, they're going to be on them brake lines most of the time. The percentage of them are going to be on the brake lines. And so like earlier this year, the Pickwick Wilson tournament, all them guys are pulling, every one of them was pulling boards except me, and dominated their asses. I won with 2 rods. Because I was working, my baits were where the fish were going to be traveling along the whole time. And when you're spreading boards out like that, maybe your bait is where maybe your bait is on the brake line, maybe it ain't. Maybe it's 20 yards away from it. Who knows? Because they're just spreading them out. You're just getting distance between your lines. So I can still drag baits effectively without the boards. And by not using the boards, I find it to be more efficient. When I get hung, I don't have to break off. I can go back and get it. It don't take any time to reel in my second line, go back, get the snag undone, start again. Whereas you're pulling boards, you got to break off because you don't have time to reel everything else in and reset. It's just too time consuming. So you go through a lot more tackle. Gets a lot more expensive to fish with boards that way. But there are times, I'll fully admit it, as much as I don't like boards, there are times and places where that's going to be better. If we were fishing in this creek today, the better play would be to pull boards through it than to just drag 2 off the back like I normally would. Because fish could be, and when they move in this creek, when they move past where we're at today, and they work back into this creek, they're going to be chasing bait. They might be up under them docks. You know, there could be a variety of places in there. But when they come back out here on the ledge, they're going to relate usually to the ledge, just off the ledge on them brake lines. So it's just depends on where you're fishing at. If you're in that creek, the planer board's the way to go. If you're up on one of these flats, one of these deep flats, that's another place where fish are going to spread out. They're going to be chasing bait, roaming around. Boards is the way to go in that case, because the more you can spread out your baits, the more likely you are to run into a fish. So creeks, deep flats, definitely places to consider using planer boards. They're going to be more effective than you just getting out there and kind of winging it. But if you're ledge fishing, you specific spot fishing like we're doing today, trying to intercept fish, man, it just depends on the bite. Like I said, I beat them over there in even North Carolina last year, over on Kerr Lake. We were fishing, and the whole damn field was using planer boards. And I was back in a creek, just pulling my 2 rods. But I'd figured out them fish were wanting a faster moving bait. They were back there and they were so aggressive back there. Like I think just moving along, I think fish were so active and aggressive, they'd pick up on your scent trail or pick up on your dust trail as your sinker went along, and they'd just come chase down your bait and get it. And so I ended up beating all them damn planer board guys. I got first place, big fish over there in North Carolina, at Kerr Lake, with 2 rods to their 6, 8, and 10 rods. Pulling an area where you could make the argument you'd been better off pulling boards, but I was in the right place, and I'd figured out one little tweak, which was speed. They wanted I had to be moving at least 0.8 to 1 mile an hour, way faster than I normally drag. If I was going slower than that, no bites. You get up to 0.8 and above, you're getting hit. And I figured that out on my pre-fishing days and applied that on tournament day, and that was the secret sauce. That got me the win. But again, I was dragging 2 rods and fishing against guys running up to 10 rods with the boards. So some of them will have, I say all that, I'm not trying to boast or brag what I'm doing is trying to prove a point that you don't have to have planer boards. Some guys will have you believe that that's the only way to guarantee yourself success and catch fish. And it is I will admit, it's a consistent way. If I was a fishing guide, I'd be running boards. That's what I do, just to make sure I was putting people on fish. My buddy Mark Naraki there, when he had the fishing guide service, he ran boards every day. That's what he did, because he was going to make sure he put his clients on fish. But regardless of what you see on the interweb, you don't have to do that. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat, as the old saying goes. Like, you don't have to. You can have success other ways. So if you try out planer board fishing and you're somebody like me and you don't end up liking it, that's okay. You can have success other ways. And even if it's a situation, you're going to maybe fish a tournament and it's set up for a planer board fisherman to succeed, it don't mean that you shouldn't go. Because you might be able to do what I've done at Pickwick and Wilson and North Carolina there last year and go beat them guys that's pulling the boards. Now, even earlier this year, Hoover, up there in Ohio, Hoover Reservoir, a little bit different situation because they got a three rod limit up there. So guys were pulling boards, but they could only basically pull 2 boards. They were fishing 1 rod off the back and 1 on each side, basically. But at that situation, everybody was dragging. And I started out the day trolling. I was suspending under a float and dragging. But what won me the tournament up there was anchor fishing. The entire field is moving, covering water. I was anchored there for the last hour and a half. That's when I got my big fish bites and that's what got me the win. So, you know, there's a lot of ways to catch fish. There's a lot of ways to catch catfish. You can have multiple bites going on at the same time on a body of water. Like, you don't, just because maybe everybody's catching fish dragging, don't mean you can't catch them sitting still anchored, or vice versa even. You know, if you come out here, you see me today out here catching fish anchored, don't mean that you couldn't come out here and drag and possibly catch fish too. Sometimes you will see a preference toward one or the other. We ran into that recently where about a month ago now, I was catching a lot of fish dragging, but I couldn't hardly get them when I was sitting still. If I tried suspending, anchoring, whatever, I just couldn't hardly get a bite. But if I get on the move, I was catching them. You run into situations like that. But most of the time, you'll have situations where there's multiple different techniques that can be effective. And you just got to figure out where on the body of water you can do what you want to do and be able to catch those fish. This goes back to the puzzle. Or, here's the other scenario for you. You could basically treat it like hunting, right? And do what I do out here today and just say, I don't give a damn about finding a technique. I don't give a damn about figuring out a puzzle on the individual day of what fish are going to want. You can come out and say, look, I know on such and such body of water that this bait is the primary bait, primary forage, whatever. And you go out and set up like we're doing today and treat it like hunting. And you do that enough times, look at this bald eagle. I can't zoom in. He's about to get him something right there off the water. I thought he was going to dive down. He just come down and skimmed it. Must have been a dead fish floating there or something. That's a bald eagle, though. I can see his head and his tail. Probably can't see it on the camera. Too far away, I guess. But, I mean, it's like the hunter in the woods, man. That hunter may set up in that tree stand the whole hunting season waiting on that one big buck to come walking through. But boy, when he gets it, man. Mission accomplished. And you can treat it the same way, fishing how we're doing today. It's just understand you may not get bit every time. You may have some skunk days, some days where maybe you get a few small fish and nothing else. Like that's going to happen. You're going to have way more skunk days fishing how I'm doing than what you're going to do if you pull boards. But You don't have to try to decipher a puzzle. You learn how to read a map. You can pick you out your home body of water, pick out all the places there that look good on that map, and just go fish them all. If you fish 40 days a year, fish you 40 different spots on that lake. And when you catch fish on one of them spots, take notes. Either write it down in a journal, notebook, or make a mental note. Say, hey, I caught fish here on this spot. It was this time of year, these weather conditions, these water conditions. And then when that situation comes up again in the future, whether it's time of year, water conditions, weather, whatever, go back to that spot. See if you get on that bite again. Or pick out another spot that's similar, maybe similar depth, similar features, whatever, and see if you can replicate the bite there. Because usually if you get on a bite, let's say fish are on points 40 feet deep, it won't just be that one point. You find other points 40 feet deep, they'll be on there too. You find 10 of them, they might be fish on 7 or 8 of them around the same time. Like that bite will be going on all over. And you do that, you kind of build a mental Rolodex of places you can go. Like this spot here, I know last year I caught a bunch of big fish. For about a 2-week window, I had fish working in through here. And I was catching blues and flatheads. And so I know if I time it right again this year, probably going to get on them fish again. So now conditions right now, I don't trust anything right now because it's so different. The water level, the amount of water that's come through here, the flow, like we don't normally have any water movement through here this time of year. And so everything's different right now in this situation, but most of the time, if you figure out kind of where fish are going to be and when, you can repeat that. And most people, I'm fortunate I get to travel some. I could travel more, I just don't like traveling all that much, but I pretty much just do it around the tournaments. Is this fish finally hooked up? He's got it, he's got it. Y'all reel in this fish, would you? I'm only reeling in big ones from now on. I'm done with these small fish for today. I'm ready for another big one. Y'all handle my light work, would you? If you ain't gonna do it, I guess I'll go ahead and reel it in for you. This is your fish though. I don't want nothing to do with this. I can tell already, I don't want nothing to do with this fish. They don't feel very big at all. I hope it ain't another channel cat. I hope it ain't. Yep, blue. Small, but he's blue. He's at least better than an old channel. Now, can he get himself unhooked? How awesome would that be? He looks like he's barely skin hooked right there. Thrash around a little bit, fish. See if you can work yourself free. All right, I'll do it for you. I can't get y'all to unhook these fish. I can't get these fish to unhook themselves. There he is. Old, skinny old blue cat. Bar is set too high today to get excited over him. Oh, I just knocked that head off when I dropped it back down. It was chewed up anyway. We gotta bust out another one. He had been hit there 2 or 3 times and they had just chewed the meat off of it. The head baits has got some attention for us today, ain't it? It's been a best fish definitely on the heads. One of these skinny skips. But I mean, fishing don't, well, I guess what I'm getting at, I don't even know what the hell point I'm just talking. I don't know what point I'm trying to make. But fishing, you don't have to do a lot of thinking. If you think a lot at your job and you want fishing to kind of just be your escape, a way to get a break, mental break, you don't have to think. You can, I mean, learn how to read a map, pick out some spots like we're doing here today, and go fish them. You get bit, great. You don't, you still out there. If you want to pull planer boards and just go out there and pull at random, start in the back of a creek, pull your way out across the channel into the next creek, you can do it. And you know, you'll catch fish. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to read contour maps or nothing like that. Like there's ways to fish without having to think. But a lot of ways, bottom line is a lot of ways to have fun. You can have success, catch fish, have fun. It can be super complicated, it can be super simple. It can be whatever you want it to be. Most of the time for me, if I'm not in a tournament, that's what I want to do. I want to come out to a spot, set up on it, and just hope I'm there when those fish are moving through, because I know they're going to move through. I just don't know when. But this, what I do, it travels. I mean, I've fished all over, mostly just for tournament. I could fish more places, but I just don't like traveling. But I mean, most people out there, what I was about to go with that, I remember now. Most of the people there that's listening to me, watching this video right now, most of you are probably going to spend the bulk of your time on your home body of water. Maybe you got 1 or 2 lakes or rivers in your area. And if you fish, if you're super into fishing, I mean, even if you got a busy schedule, you're probably still fishing 1 or 2 days a month. So, I mean, if you get 25, 30 days a year and you go and hit 25, 30 different spots on your lake or river over the course of that year, well, it won't take you too many years to kind of figure out a pattern of where fish are going to be and when and what you need to do. And so you can repeat that year after year. Again, get a mental Rolodex, if you will, of where you need to go and when you need to do it. Work in some other spots, of course, when you can, just to test other things, but I like coming out, putting my baits down and kicking back and relaxing. I don't want to have to work. If I want to make a bunch of casts, I'm going to go ultralight fishing. The way I can catch a bunch of fish. I don't want to. Old Bottle Rocket Boards wants me to get down there below the dams and do some bumping with him and stuff. And I'm sure bumping's a lot of fun, but boy, if you're on a slow day, a slow bite, and you're sitting there just bumping hours at a time, like I'd get tired of that real quick. I can sit out here with my feet up in the air for hours, but I wouldn't be able to sit there just doing this for very long without a bite. Even ultralight fishing, like if I go 10 casts and I ain't got a fish, like I'm getting antsy. I'm losing patience. I gotta make myself slow down because I start fishing faster. If I do fish at all this weekend, my plan is to take a couple days off here before I head out for Louisiana, but if I get bored there at the house and I end up going fishing, I am going to go back over there where I got them crappie out the other night and make some more casts around whatever it was I was throwing. I was in my pedal kayak, so I didn't have a live scope. I lucked into that first crappie and kept throwing back over there, and I assume it was some brush or a tree or something, because there was a bunch of fish on it. And you've seen them the last few days on these videos here. I've used these crappie that I caught. Finally today we got rewarded with a big fish on one of them. But I may sneak over there at some point this weekend and just see if I fish for an hour or 2 or something, just see if I can't get on some more of them. I need some more time in my pedal kayak anyway. I've been in this kayak a lot lately. And of course, when I get the new kayak, I'll be logging some hours in it too, just getting used to it and stuff. So I need to bust out the pedal kayak a little bit more. I exercise every day there at the house, just a little workout routine I do, just some push-ups, some crunches, some squats, some stretches and stuff, just jumping jacks, just a normal maintenance routine I do. But I do feel like getting out in the pedal kayak is good too. Well, these geese don't think it's good. Shout out to the geese, they got their cameo appearance. They about to run head on into this boat coming. Them geese better take a left. Bass, okay, there they go. I thought bass fishermen was gonna be dodging some geese right there. Yeah, I do love me some ultralight fishing. I ain't done as much ultralight fishing lately. I need to. I've been doing a lot of catfishing, and of course I get that new kayak, I'll definitely be putting in some hours on it, catfishing, just getting used to it and stuff. Still kicking around the idea about that Hobie Lynx. It would make it so, it's so lightweight, man. It would be so much easier putting in at some places. Places now that I put my pedal kayak in that I don't really have a ramp, don't really have access to, I put my pedal kayak in because it's lighter weight than this one. Certainly much easier to manage. But that Hobie Lynx is so lightweight. I mean, it's half the weight of my current kayak, or my pedal kayak now, and so the days where I just want to go out and fish for like an hour, like for this weekend, like if I just want to go out and go over and check and see if them crappies still there on that brush or whatever it was they were on, it would be so much easier with a kayak like that Hobie Lynx. I've got so many reservations. I've went over the reservations I have with that thing, man, and being so not durable. Just the fact it's a Hobie pedal drive, which my body rejects. I get sciatica if I pedal the Hobie pedaling motion too much. And they're really overpriced for how non-durable they are. I keep looking around online looking for a used one to pop up in my area for a good deal, but they just don't ever come up around. I never see anybody here with them. I think they're more of like a saltwater platform. I think that's where most people's using them at because, well, it would be the ideal situation for saltwater because one, you're not going to sink it. Two, you're going to be able to, because it's so lightweight, you're going to be able to pull it through the sand, through the beach a lot easier. And you can car top it on top of your vehicle a lot easier too, which if you're at the beach and you've got limited parking down there, very important. My concern, and I'm going to be going down there to the ocean next month. And I would certainly, if I had one of them Hobie Lynx, I would use it there in saltwater for sure, because everything I just described about pulling it through the sand and stuff would definitely apply to me in that situation. But my concern with that thing, because you regular viewers, you know I like to go after them sharks when I go to the ocean. The Hobie Lynx sits so low on the water. If you're reeling in a fish and a shark comes after it, like, has this fish here got it? I think he does, by gosh. Got that head we just put down. That's another one of them y'all should be reeling in because he's too damn small for me. I'm too good a fisherman. After we caught that big one today, I consider myself too good to be reeling in these small dinks. I can't do it, folks. I can't be seen with a fish like this. This fish it's beneath me. Boy, they've done chewed up that fresh head we just put down too. Dadgummit. They're chewing the gills out of these things. Goodness gracious. You know what I'm gonna do? Because I'm probably gonna fish another hour or so. Well, I'm gonna dance with this fish is what I'm gonna do first, apparently, as he flops around. Let me see that thing, fish. I'm gonna put on, get out of here, you old skinny thing. Here, take that skipjack with you there. You done chewed up most of it. Here's what I'm gonna do though. I'm looking at this crappie head here. We had switched this out earlier, but look, it's got all that blood oozing out in there now. Like it's still got some blood and oil in there. I'm gonna put it back on. And I mean, these fish, they're all over that skipjack head. They're just chewing the gills out of it. It's been small fish. I'm gonna put on, if I'm gonna fish another hour, and we got our biggest fish on the crappie head earlier, like I'm gonna just put another crappie head back on. Let's just try it and see what happens. If it works out, great. If it don't, it don't. But let's try that. I ain't got any more crappie. I don't think I got any more in this bag. I think it was, the other one we cut was the last one, I think. Yeah, we're out. So, yeah, we'll try that out. It either work or it won't. But, yeah, that Hobie Lynx, it sets so low in the water. I worry, let's say you're reeling in a random fish there in the ocean, and you get a shark coming after that fish full speed, which happens. That happens down there, folks. But he comes up and hits your kayak. If you're in that lynx and you're setting 2 inches off the water, he's liable to come up into the kayak. Not trying to get you, like not trying to attack you, but just going after that fish, just accidentally come up into the kayak. I saw a video. It was on the Hobie Lynx Facebook group there. Some dude had posted. I'd shout him out. I don't remember his name. I don't think it was like a YouTube video. I think it was like just a Facebook video that you just post on there or whatever. I could pull, I don't want to pull it up. I could pull it up on my phone, but I'd probably get hit with a copyright ding, so I don't want to do that. But anyway, he was same situation. He's reeling in a fish. And he had it looked like a smaller shark, maybe 3 or 4 foot. But it come right up to the side of his Hobie Lynx there and was thrashing around. And I looked at that and I'm like, well, that's awful close to his feet. like that's scarily close to his feet right there. So that's my concern with it, man, as far as ocean fishing goes. And I worry too with, because it's basically like a stand-up paddle board that you're sitting on and pedaling, right? The way the design of it. Like, when I've had these big sharks on there and I'm at the end of the fight, I'm trying to get them up there where I can either try to get to hook or at least snip the line there closer to the hook. Like, you got to lift with everything you got. I mean, you got to get leverage, and the side of my kayak's going down. And I think if you're in that Hobie Lynx and you're only 2 inches away from the top of the water anyway, like you're going to have water coming over right there. Like, you're not going to be able to get the leverage, I feel like, that we would ideally like to get to pull that big shark up to try to get him. So I don't know that it's the best platform for shark fishing per se, but a lot of people along the coast are using them because the lightweight, it's easier to get down, transport them down to the ocean. They're unsinkable. Like they're not durable, but when you're just beach launching them, you're, launching and landing on sand, you don't have to worry about tearing them up per se. As long as you don't have mussel beds or oyster beds or whatever they have there that's real rough. As long as you don't have that, you're okay. Something got hit. I think is that other crappie head. Wasn't this one the crappie head? The back left? We had the back right was the chunk of crappie. Yeah, folks, they just keep biting. We've got several fish today now. Only the one monster. We had that other one that was pretty good, and then some dinks. But like we've had several bites today. Definitely more productive than the last 2 days of fishing. Oh, he threw the bait off. You old fish, what'd you do that for? You old thing. I wish you hadn't done that. We ain't got no more crappie. Well, I got one more up here. I got that other crappie head. We'll look at it in a second. Let me get that hook out of you, you old fish. Why'd you have to throw that bait off for? I know you didn't eat it. Hell, that crappie head's bigger than your mouth. Get out of here. Yeah, we got this one right here. Yeah, it looks rough. I don't normally like fishing tails, but you know what I may do today? I'm kind of at the point in the trip here, with only fishing another hour or so. We'll just try some stuff. I'll put this tail on. Put the tail on, drop it down. Again, it either gets bit or it don't. Down it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. I know where it's gonna stop, 45 feet deep. That's where. Okay. I'm gonna fish another hour or so. If they keep biting, I may go a little longer than that, but unfortunately, it don't look like y'all gonna be with me much longer because my battery's in the red. Yeah, y'all, we about to part ways, I guess, me and you. My battery lasts about 4 hours, it seems like. It's just, that's how it is. But hell, by the time, listen, if you've listened to me for 4 hours, God bless you. You've heard my life story. You've heard all about my neighbors. We've talked about wrestling. Lord, we've talked about it all. I'm talked out this week anyway, having fished this many days in a row to try to get us ahead here for the Louisiana trip, which I've been able to do, fortunately. Today's been great, obviously, with the big fish, but the last couple days it's kind of been a grind. But you know what? I went out, I do what I do. I didn't get skunked any day this week. I caught fish every day, and considering the conditions we've had with the water level fluctuating and various amounts of current flow depending on where I've been the last few days, this is definitely the lightest flow that I've experienced on this spot, but it's the changing conditions that we've had, not really knowing what to expect, having not dealt with these kind of conditions this time of year before. Like, we've never had this, and not in my lifetime that I remember anyway, this much flow this time of year. I feel like I've done okay. You know, like I feel like I've got enough fish. I certainly didn't come out here with a lot of confidence today, but after catching the big one, like I feel, looking back on it now, what I've done the last few days and having not gotten skunked, and like I'm feeling better about it is what I'm getting at. I'm leaving today with a lot more confidence. Catching a big fish will do that, man. You'll get so much more confidence when you catch that monster, right? So going home happy today whenever I go home. I'm gonna fish another hour or two though. But this camera's gonna crap out any second, so I'll go ahead and probably cut it off. But yeah, folks, plan is take the weekend off, go to Louisiana on Monday or part of the way, either start fishing Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning of next week, which by the time you're seeing this video, if I live through the trip, I'm already home from Louisiana, so the next trip you should see for regular viewers will hopefully be a Louisiana video if things went well on that trip. So we'll see. Fingers crossed for me. Wish me luck, even though you're wishing me luck after I've already got home. So anyway, it is what it is. But I'm rambling on. This battery's about to die, so I'm gonna cut it off. Thanks for coming with me today. Got us a whopper, man. I'm gonna fist pump it one more time because we got us that golly whopper. I'll see you on the next trip.